All right, I just went live.
Are we live?
We are live. What is up, everyone? You guys want to see something funny?
Woo!
You guys want to see something funny? So we have this overhead camera, right?
Spencer, I already removed it.
Oh, he removed it. Oh, we had a glitch in the Matrix where every time we switched to this view, it played an air horn sound effect. But
real quick, before we've got a pack show today.
Oh, pack show.
As always, David Green, our favorite former New York Stock Exchange trader, will be joining us and doing some live trading with us.
Yes.
But Shelly, I see you in the chat asking what a Wordle is. I'm surprised you haven't heard. It's been... This is a new word puzzle online game. It's from some UK website, but it's gone completely viral. Like, both Spencer and I's Twitter was just taken over by Wordle.
Mm-hmm.
Spencer and I both being kind of English nerds. We both separately, without talking about it, partook and played in the Wordle. They put one out every day the past 2 days. I'm 2 for 2. Spencer's 1 for 1 so far. He hasn't played today's Wordle, but I have. No spoilers. Do not ruin it. But Spencer.
Yeah, we got a jam-packed show. We got David Green coming right up. You can see we have Jerome Powell kind of sort of on the screen below us there. We have Awakn Life Sciences at 12:30. We have Robert Roy, 12:45. We have Christian Fromhertz at 1:15. So jam-packed show. I see you in the chat, Shelly, Easy Mike, Bubba, Sheeb, who was here 6 hours ago.
Before we officially start the show and get to David Green.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I mentioned we were talking. So when we started the show yesterday, just for some context, the Qs were down about 2.5%. They were making some gains throughout the show, and I said something along the lines of, "Hey, I wouldn't be surprised if the Qs finished in the green."
Yeah, you did say that.
And Spencer said something along the lines of that you would be a seller if the Qs finished in the green. I went out and I actually bought some TQQQ calls that are up 38% right now. I also have a BABA debit spread that's up 50%. Maybe when David's on, I'll ask him what I should do, if I should take my gains in my TQQ calls. I just love it. Look, I mean, anytime there's a lot of fear, red day in the markets, in the Qs, in big tech, it's like, all right, this is gonna come back. These people love the Qs. People love Amazon. People love Apple. People love Facebook. So I'm always perpetually bullish.
Perpetually bullish. I'm long-term bullish, short-term, who the hell knows. But let's run that intro and let's bring on David.
Woo!
And we'll talk about the TQQQQQQs.
This is Benzinga Live. Spencer Israel and producer AB.
What's up, everybody? How we doing?
Someone told me buy high, sell higher.
Let's get Matt Hammond on the show to talk some IPOs. Jake Wojasik from Trend Spider. We have a
breaking news.
Aaron just asked me when Jerome Powell is supposed to end. If anyone knows, I have no idea. Let us know in the chat when Jerome Powell ends, because
this is like
he's taking up all our viewers.
You know what this reminds me of, Spencer?
What?
It reminds me of back in the day when I was a wee little lad.
Yeah.
And FDR remained president through like 3 terms because of World War II and the turmoil. We're like in this economic uncertainty with Corona, and it's like, all right, why switch chairs now, right? That should be Jerome Powell's pitch. In times of uncertainty, we want a little stability. We can't switch.
No, he's not arguing for his job right now.
Well, it's a Senate confirmation.
Yeah, they're gonna confirm him.
Right.
That's
what I'm saying. That should be his pitch to the Senate, saying, "Hey, you should confirm me because why switch now amid all this uncertainty?"
Okay, and that reminded you of FDR.
Yes.
Okay, that's fair. Our next guest was alive when all that went down. David Green.
No, he was not, Spencer.
That's a nice way to start the show, Spencer. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
How we doing?
Close. We're doing great. I mean, this has been a trader's dream the last couple of days. Not easy, but this has been wackadoodle. It's been crazy. You know, what was Aaron mentioning? What he thinks I should do with my stuff? Yeah, your guess is as good as mine in this market. It has just been insane, but really, really good as far as trading is concerned.
Yeah, we've been seeing a lot more volatility in the markets just the past, I don't know, really month. I mean, December is historically not a very volatile month, but this December it was actually more volatile than the preceding months. So, you know, David, I know as a quick day trader like yourself, you like the volatility.
We love the volatility. I mean, yesterday you were talking about your TQQQs, right? I mean, this thing traded at what, 132 yesterday?
Oh, here, let me pull up your screen. Yeah, I mean, that's so yesterday. Yeah, let's look at this real quick. So got down to 132, currently at about 150.
Yeah, got down to 132.10 yesterday. Broke through our 200 EMA, and for all the world, it looked like this market was just done, right? But when we got back and we recaptured that 134 level, that was a nice signal to get long a little bit of the TQQQs. You made a great trade. So let's go technical, right? Our next real resistance now is right here about 153. So technician, yes, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'll be watching it. I'll sell if we hit 153.
That's the next technical point. Now, here's the gig. All right, we have some resistance coming up now. I think we're getting a little stretched again to the upside now. We were 141 this morning. So we have a technical level at about 150, 150. We were short TQQQ for a trade. So it might be pertinent to you, and I don't know how many of these you have. Take a little profits there. You know me, guys, right? Take some profits when you're in a profitable trade. Always take profits in a profitable trade. The worst thing that happens, you're wrong and it keeps going up. So we will be short the TQQQs for a trade if we get around 150, 150.
And then, David, is that line on the very bottom of your screen? Is that RSI or what's that at the very bottom?
That is your relative strength index. So a relative strength index shows for us when a stock is either oversold, has gone down too far too fast, or overbought, has gone up too far too fast. And when we see a reading of 20 or lower, it's telling us that we want to maybe start looking to buy the stock, and 80 or higher, it's telling us we might want to start shorting the stock. So you can see this is starting to creep up there now, right? So
I know we're about to hit 150 on the dot. We need three more bucks, and I'm selling my trade. But yeah, I mean that was my whole thesis, Dave. Without even looking at the RSI, it's like, all right, this is getting a little oversold, and all the pressures bringing the TQQs down or the Qs down yesterday. Rate hikes, bond yields. I feel like that should all be priced in at this point. We all know it's coming, and the question.
It's not new news. None of the things
news
that we're talking about were new news. I think it just gives people an excuse to take some profits in stocks. And to be honest with you, it's a lot of less experienced people that always just shoot first and ask questions later. I mean, that's just how it is in this market, right?
And I mean, the other thing with some of these stocks like Apple, Amazon, all the institutional investors, they already all hold them, right? So really the only thing to do is to sell them. So whenever they do get an excuse to take some profits and sell them, they will.
That's exactly right. So today has been a really spectacular trading day. I mean, Facebook this morning, and I look at this, guys, I'm doing this for 35 years. I'm seeing moves every day that you just don't see, right? That I haven't seen. And if you're not an experienced trader, you are getting whipsawed around in this market and you're not doing very well. And again, I'm talking about trading. I'm not talking about long-term investments. But Facebook gave us a beautiful trade. If you look at our pivot point down here, about 325.50, stock is up $6 from me. So I think things are starting to get a little overdone to the upside now. So we're going to look to start doing some shorts at some point. If we have technical analysis at some levels. Let's look at UPST, my guys. Yeah, I mean, not yet, guys.
Wow.
So let's go within the Qs in the FANG stocks, in the big tech, AMD, NVIDIA, and try to see, Dave, which stocks are showing some relative weakness versus which stocks are showing some relative strength.
You know what? I'll look at anything you want. Let's look at Apple, right? And it's just been, it changes every 10 minutes. That's the problem, right? So if I go to any longer term chart in any of these things, right? We're kind of in nowhere's land in all of them. You know, Apple went from 182 to 168. You know me, I love Apple. You just buy it every time it goes down. Technically now at this 175 level, all right, we're pushing a little resistance here. If we get above that, we'll probably back off to the races. In Apple, 175 is a little resistance now. And again, I'm looking at this as a trader. I am looking for short opportunities now. That's what I'm looking for because I think stocks are getting a little stretched out to the upside now. Guys, how about, go ahead, you guys talk.
No, David, the more charts I look at, the more I'm starting to think that everything is just going to be stuck in a range, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right? Today, like one of the big gainers is PayPal, right? It's up 4%. But if you look at, and this probably is not the case, but it feels like if you look at any stock going back anywhere from the last 1 to, I don't know, 1 to 3 months, you see just a range, you know?
Look at PayPal.
And yeah. And so it's like, someone in the chat said you can no longer just throw a dart at at the board and ride the wave higher, but you can throw a dart at the board and ride the I'm not sure what the analogy.
The technical analysis.
Yeah, I was gonna say just ride the merry-go-round. No, that's not a good. Ride like the ride that goes up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, whatever that thing is called. No, there's no go.
No, let's call it a pogo
They go up
stick.
and down and around.
All right, ride the pogo. Right, that's a good one. Ride the
Pogo stick.
Up and down, up and down, up and down. Just ride the pogo stick.
But how do you do that? Right? You do that by
Yeah, well,
using technical analysis and finding levels on the chart that make sense for you to both buy and sell. That's what you do, right? It's impossible to throw a dart on a board and say, okay, I think the video is done going down from here, so I'm going to buy a little bit, and then it goes down 8 points from there. But look at the technicals. The technicals, or tell us what to do. Look, NVIDIA. All right, so we were talking about shorting, right? Here's my pivot point, guys, in NVIDIA at 280.80. This stock went up to 280.65 and went straight down $1.50. So this is what we're looking for. I know we missed it by 5 cents, guys. This is what we're looking for when I was just telling you guys, I think things are getting a little overdone here. So this is how you trade, right? There is a technical level telling us to sell NVIDIA at $280.80. It missed it by 15 cents and went down $1.80. So there's your trade. And this is what we've been doing for the last 3 days. And it's been working. Look, it works all. Let's preface this. Nothing works all the time. But when you get these giant moves in stocks, if you're not using technical analysis to get into these trades, you're totally lost, right?
All right, so we got some stuff in the chat, David. Ramon is looking to get into the XLF. Can we identify a level?
Yes, we can.
In the banks ETF, with the caveat that starting on Friday is bank earnings season. Basically, Friday through Wednesday. After Wednesday, all the banks will be pretty much done reporting. But after Friday through Wednesday, will be a lot of volatility on the banks. Yeah,
so there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can look at XLF, and you can look at FAS. Those are the two. And FAZ has there's a long and a short. But let's look at the XLE.
XLF, yeah.
All right, let's go. So whenever I look at anything, guys, the first thing I'm going to a daily chart, always. So we get a little longer term picture, right? And look, we're in an uptrend, all right? The XLF is in an uptrend. So what I would say is if the earnings come out and they continue to be good, XLF should continue to go higher. And I don't see any reason why they shouldn't come out and be good, right? This is a nice looking chart. It's a nice looking chart on both the daily and the weekly chart. It's above all the moving averages. And again, there's not a lot of volatility in this XLF, so that's probably the one you want to be in anyway. Pull back to 40.40, a pull back to 40, a pull back to 39.26 are levels where you can look to re-enter that if you get a pullback in it. If we look at you want to look at the more volatile ones, right? Let's look at the FAS. Probably going to be the same chart. Look at that. Same exact chart, just gives you a lot more volatility. So depending on your risk tolerance, you're probably better off looking at the XLF. And it looks okay on a daily chart. If the financials continue to be good, it should be good.
But if you're subscribing to my theory that I just came up with 30 seconds ago about the pogo stick, then you could theoretically short the XLF and stop yourself out at that all-time high, which was yesterday.
Yeah,
or not all-time high, but you get. Oh yeah, wait, that is an all-time high.
Yeah, guys.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Oh, yes, it is. Holy crap!
Hold on, we'll go look. Cancel Baba for the moment, guys. All right, let's go look. What was it? XLF.
All-time high. I didn't realize that. Wow, that's impressive. Anyway,
yes, all-time high was at an all-time high.
The all-time high was yesterday, so you could just throw on a short, stop yourself out at what the 40 or 42 or something like that. You know what I mean? But
okay, let's just talk about it. And technically, there's no reason to be short the stock. So what you're saying, Spence, is that I think the bank stocks might go down off the earnings. Correct?
No, I was just I was extrapolating my pogo stick theory to the financials. That's all I was doing. But you know, but your point about the banks always beat earnings. That's what they do. That doesn't mean the stocks have to go higher.
Correct.
Actually, very often they will run up into the, and I just can say this just anecdotally. I don't really have the data off the top of my head, but like they run up into the reports and then they will like top out on around those reports, right?
Yeah,
So,
I mean, let's look at the last bunch of earnings in Goldman Sachs, right? Big run up coming into earnings. We had a pullback.
yeah.
Here was a little run up. We had a pullback. Here we had a big run up. We had a pullback. This is all before the earnings came out. Here we had a big run up. We had a pullback. So, and if you know we're looking at a weekly chart, the stock basically hasn't done anything either for 6-7 months. So yeah, you're right. It doesn't matter. Look, with any of the earnings that come out, the numbers don't matter. The only thing that matters is what the stocks do, right? That's it. We have any other questions for the chat? Anything else you guys want to talk about? Baba, I'm putting out 129.70 for lunch. I like that, guys, if it gets there. Labu, we're not doing anything right now. And I tell you this, guys and girls, and you guys know this, and everybody in the chat knows this. We're going to get most of the good trading in the first hour, hour and a half of the day. To me, it looks like everything is setting up right now to probably be up for the rest of the day. Everything's above their moving averages.
Sorry, David, we broke up for just a second there, but we're back now. So
who broke up, me or you?
No, we did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can you look at DraftKings? I certainly can, guys and girls. Look at DraftKings. This has been bad for a long, long time, right? DraftKings. So let's look at it technically and see where we got to go to get this thing moving a little bit. Well, we're finally showing a little life, right? Finally. So look at this major downtrend, guys. We've been in a downtrend for basically 3 months. So how do we reverse this downtrend? We got to get above 27.50. All right. We started to show a little strength now, which is good. So above 27.50 reverses a downtrend that we have had for basically what? Months in this stock. Hold on one sec. Let's go weekly. Give me a minute, guys. My charts are all screwed up.
Andy, why, man? Jerome Powell is saying a lot of things right now, and we don't know what they are because we're obviously on with you. But,
well, whatever he's saying is definitely affecting the markets. So what the hell?
Yeah.
Charts.
Inflation is real. The Fed's willing to raise rates as much as they need to, but we all know that they can only raise rates so as long as the market tolerates it, right? Because if the market were to crash, the Fed would obviously become more dovish on that front.
I mean, so, I don't. You know what? I don't even think it matters. I don't think any of that stuff matters. Long term, the market goes up. It always goes up, right? That's what the market does. You know what? The problem with the market is, we just hate uncertainty. If you tell us what you're doing, right? They came out and said they're possibly going to raise rate 3 times last week, and the market went ballistic to the upside. So just tell us what you're doing.
Yeah.
The market just hates uncertainty. That's it.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I've never been really good at dissecting and understanding, Fed speak and what people like will interpret like word changes and specific word like usage, and I've never been really about that.
Do you think anyone is? I mean, I'm sure there are.
I don't know.
There are people that hang on every single word.
Yeah.
And then they go on TV and they can break down every single thing that they talk about and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Does it matter in the big scheme of things for the market? I don't think so.
I don't know either. I really don't.
All the market does is go up over time, right? We know that.
Yeah. Like to me, whenever I read a Fed, like a statement, they always sound the same. Like hawkish or dovish, they always just sound this. They read the same to me, and they repeat obvious statements. I don't know. It's just not my thing. But whatever.
Oh, nice job, guys.
Yeah,
I hear you. Technical analysis.
DWAC. Ooh,
look what DWAC just did. Right, we just caught a bunch of people caught a nice one in this. So again, beautiful up trade. Right, the stock's up what $7 today, $8. I don't even know. Company
Do
that
we
has
know? Do we care to know why? Is
Nope.
there even a reason?
nope.
Let's see.
No.
Let's find out. Let's find out if they have news, though. I am curious.
I doubt it. But it's up $7, right?
No, it's
But
just
here, guys, look at our technical analysis. And we were talking about things getting a little stretched out, right? It hit our pivot point at 64.50 and just went down $1.20. You know, we pick off 4, 5, 6 of these good trades like this a day, and you're making a nice living as a trader. But again, it's all about technical analysis. That's what it's all about. Mealy is insane. What's a mealy?
Meli, Mercado Libre, which is the Amazon
Oh, yeah.
of South America, right?
Yes. Beautiful.
Latin America.
So here, let's talk about this, guys, right? This is obviously what we call an uptrend. For those of you who don't know, the stock is going in one direction for a long period of time, right? So we never want to be short this stock. We want to try and buy it when it pulls back to one of our trend lines, which it did back here at 1104. Check this out, guys. At $1,104 at 10.55, this hit our 9 EMA, which is support for a trend trade, and it's up 50 points from there. Technically, this was the spot to buy the stock. It's giving you a 50-point profit. Now, we getting stretched? Yeah, I don't know what this stock is. I don't think I've ever traded in my life. I haven't. I know I haven't. And it's got a big spread, like a $3 spread in it. But here's your spot to be short for it. Take a chance. Not take a chance, technically. $1,163. Relative strength is getting way overdone here. So 1163 could be a little spot to take a short in that stock. Again, everything we do is because of technical analysis. All right, what other guys? What do we got, guys? Give me some more questions from the crowd, from anybody. What do you want to talk about?
What was that?
Come on,
Thank you,
to
Shelly.
shout.
Wait. Someone just dropped said to talk about the pet ETF with what was that PE on was it PET? Oh no, pause. PAWS, right? That's it. PAWS. But that's got like a bunch of like pet stocks. Like it's got Chewy. It's got pets, right?
PAWS?
No, PAWZ. Sorry,
there we
PAWZ.
go.
I stand corrected.
Yeah. Okay. So the first thing I would look at in this thing is the volume, which it does not have any of.
Yeah, light volume. Well, I mean, it's not really a trading instrument, right? But it's got it's got a lot of Chewy. You can look at Chewy as your proxy. I'm imagining Chewy is one of your largest holdings of it. So,
check that.
I haven't looked at Chewy lately. Oh gosh, that's
the same chart, right? It's been very, very bad for a while, right? And it finally got a little bounce from an oversold position, but it's a horrible looking chart as far as being
brutal.
Being long. That is not my cup of tea.
I know Chewy and BarkBox have different models, but are there any of these like monthly subscription services that the stocks are actually good? I mean, we've talked about Stitch Fix.
They're actually good.
Yeah, like
That's
Stitch
a good question.
Well, the problem with like Aaron is like they're probably like a lot of them are good companies, right? But they're so new, and they're in growth mode.
Well, I think
right?
too, like we've just had so many companies go public over the last like 2 years, 18 months, that there are some that I'll see a stock for. I'll be like, oh, I know that company. I had no clue it was publicly traded.
Yeah. And like the big thing is like cost of acquisition, right? These companies will like spend like out the ass to acquire.
You know what a good one is
Are you gonna say Blue Apron?
No, this is not related to.
No, I get meal kit offers in the mail every single week.
From Blue Apron?
From everybody.
Wasn't Blue Apron like a $300 stock or something at some point?
No, it wasn't.
Whatever, but it was a lot higher, right?
Yeah.
This is off topic from like the monthly subscriptions. This one was actually a SPAC, but I always see the chart people are posting. I'm like, I always forget that's publicly traded now. BuzzFeed.
Yeah, BZFD. That's terrible.
BZFD.
Yeah.
Obviously started at $10 as a SPAC. Is now at $4.32.
Terrible.
They developed.
And I don't think there are really any good stocks in this space either. In the media,
yeah.
It's hard. Yeah, it's so hard.
I guess Disney.
That was an
hard.
An IPO not too long ago, right?
Yeah,
Well,
it was SPAC. Disney with
I don't know if I'd put Disney in the same category though.
as BuzzFeed. No, but like through ESPN, like ESPN Live Sports, that's the only media I'd really be like buying into as far as stocks.
Yeah,
right now.
Disney is one of my. I'm going to show you Disney, guys, set up for a nice swing trade. I hate to get back to technicals, but look at this stock, right? This stock around $142 coming, and Disney's one of my long-term favorites. I love Disney.
Me too.
But it gave you a beautiful shot to get in. It's at $142, like, I don't know, a month ago. That was our 200 EMA technically, and it's set up just spectacularly for a spot to get in there and buy a little stock in it. So,
I'm pretty sure I bought Disney around 140 a long time ago.
All right, there you go.
Wait, what was I going to say to you?
Viacom could be a little interesting too.
Oh, Aaron, there's been like rumors, like speculation that Disney would like one day spin off ESPN. If that were to happen, I would short the crap out of ESPN.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't.
Okay, that concerns me. That business model concerns me. They're hemorrhaging subscribers.
Well, I'll tell you this much: if it's set up technically for me to short it, I would short it.
Yeah, I knew you.
We
of course
would
you said that. Of course you would say that.
Yeah,
Some of us go with our feelings and emotions.
I'd be short and long depending on what the chart looks like.
Oh, okay, fair
David
enough.
Green, I got David Green.
If it went up, I would have been long, and if it goes down, I would have been short.
No, but sorry not to bring up fundamentals, David, but we've talked about this a lot, Spencer and I, just about the idea that content is king, and as we're moving into this streaming world between Netflix producing their own content, Amazon producing their own content, Apple producing their own content, live sports is really the one opportunity for advertisers to pay top dollar for commercials where people will actually watch those commercials, and for that reason, I think
why would it be bad, ESPN then?
I think ESPN's TV rights makes it a very valuable media play.
Did you see the report overnight that Apple has had prelim discussions with Major League Baseball for some broadcast rights? So
see, I think that's even more bullish for ESPN because you see Amazon spending money to get rights to live sporting.
ESPN
they know how coveted it is.
They have to compete with them. I don't want to go.
But ESPN's not going anywhere. ESPN's always going to have live sports on.
All right. I mean, they're always going to have some live sports, but
now they got to compete. Are they going to have rights to all those sports?
Now they got to compete with Apple and Amazon for their rights. Good luck with that.
Well, they already don't have NFL. I mean, they have Monday Night Football once a week and the Super Bowl every 4 years. So
that's right.
Obviously, that'd be the biggest bullish catalyst for ESPN if they're able to get more NFL rights. But it's just an interesting space.
We're actually running an experiment in the office right now for the last 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, when it was the last week of the year and nobody was around, somebody put ESPN on 2 of the office TVs, and no one's changed it since then.
Do you know why we did that?
No, why'd you do that?
Because Luke and I were betting on a bowl game that started at like 11 a.m. Eastern.
That makes sense. So anyway, having not watched the ESPN programming since I was in college, a decade ago. It's been an interesting experience for me to glance up and see what they talk about all day. So now we have CNBC and ESPN, but we've gotten way off the rails here. Anyway, bringing back David's charts, and then Shelly, to answer your question, I've used a couple of different meal delivery services, which is why I get their mail all the time. And just to put a bow on that conversation, they spend so much money marketing, trying to get me back at a discounted rate. They'll offer me 1,000 free meals if they could, right? Just to get me back. These monthly subscription companies, it's hard, man. It is really hard. The churn is a real problem for them. So just to wrap up that conversation, but okay,
works for me.
Have not looked at the market in the last 10 minutes, so I see the TQs up there. Looking good. Tech is looking good.
We're still trying to hit that 153. I'm waiting. 153. That's my selling point. I'm out of the TQQ calls.
Oh man, everything today is
that can happen today.
I also my other bold prediction for the month really is that amid all this talks of interest rates and bond yields and favor going into value over tech, I think we're going to see Qs at all-time highs by the end of the month.
All-time highs. All right, let's see how far we are from that.
We are
how far are we from that? I need to know as well.
Probably about 8%, maybe.
404. We're at 385.15.
Give me a number.
Points. Yeah, about 4.5. Let's call it 5%, just to round it off.
Oh, it's even less.
Wait, what the all-time high would be? What, 409? Yeah. Okay. So, I would take that bet, Aaron.
You would take the other side of it.
Yes, I would take the other side.
Yeah,
of
David.
that
David's quick math it checks out about
It's about 5%. Right.
Yeah, about 4.5% off all-time highs. That's just my
By the end of this month. By the end of this month.
So not
Is that what you're saying?
not at the end, but at any point between today and January 31st, the QQQs get to like 409, right? All-time
I'm
highs.
on. I'll take the under on that.
Yeah, me too.
Under. All right.
Yes.
Two against one. I'll draw my line in the stand. I'll be the minority here. Qs will hit all-time
New
highs
high at some point. Don't have to close
at some
that.
point at the end of the month.
All right.
Oh no, wrong sound effect.
What are you looking for?
I was looking for the air horn. No, but we got rid of it.
Oh my god.
There we go. Thank you, Rohan. Okay, wait, Aaron, we have to bet something though. We can't just like throw it.
I know. I just checked in on our other lunch bet about Abbott, and we're gonna push on that.
All
So
right,
it could just be a lunch bet. If anyone, actually, let's do this. Let's throw it out to the chat. If someone's got a good, wager that we can put on this, David can be involved too. But we're not gonna do like real money. So any.
No, I don't have any real money, guys. You guys.
David owes me a share of Tesla if I'm right. How
All
about
my
that?
real money is locked up in NFTs right now.
In SoFi.
And SoFi, right? So
I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's do a couple of things for free, right? dgreen927 at yahoo.com. Anyone can come and hang out 5 days in a room with me. dgreen927 at yahoo.com. Come watch us trade the markets live. Benzinga live, guys. And we could not be trading without Benzinga live. It's as important as our technical analysis. 2-week free trial. Then you get to hang out with Spencer and Aaron all the time, and you get access to all the beautiful things that they have happening there. So that's my my plug. Plug Power. There you go.
Yeah, okay. Oh wait, I should address that. So we were supposed to talk to Plug Power on the show today, Andy Marsh. There was a mix up on the scheduling front. I'm gonna say it was not on our side, but they had to reschedule, unfortunately. So Plug Power was not bumped. They were not preempted. There was a scheduling mix, a legitimate scheduling mix-up. It is a mistake. It happens, but we're gonna get Plug back on the show, just not today, unfortunately. So I apologize for
or
anyone who tuned in for
we
that.
could ask the questions we were gonna ask to Plug Power CEO Andy Marsh to David, and David can pretend to be the CEO of Plug Power and guess what he would have said.
Yeah.
Listen, to me, everything is price action. What they're going to say is, you think they're going to come on and say anything? You think they're going to come on and say anything bad? No, we're working on a turnaround. Things are getting better, and don't forget our stock.
Things are getting better.
Things are getting better. Electrify America. Some EVs. Just throw some of those buzzwords around,
exactly.
and then we'll talk about the stock price.
Don't forget we were a $5 stock at one point. And stock went up to $75, although we never make money. And now we're down to $25. We're hanging out. It's all good.
It's all good.
Are you selling any insider? Are you selling any insider shares, Andy?
Someone in the chat asked how to get into David's room. So two things. You can email David if you'd like. This is his email up on the screen. That's for his chat room. And if you want to take his course, the link to that is in the description of this video. All right, it's Wall Street Global Trading Academy.com. Check the description for the link. It is in there. I promise.
Yeah, and anyone who, by the way, purchases the course gets our continued mentorship on Thursday nights forever. Anyone who buys the course. I want to see if our Melee short would have worked up there. Hold on a minute. What did I say? 1163. Let's take a look. What happened? Oops. Yeah, all right. So Melee worked for a 10-point short off that level of 1165. Actually, 12 points. Technical analysis, guys and girls. Look what happens when a stock gets really overbought. It's a level of resistance on a chart and gives you a $12 profit trade. There you go. I'll leave you guys with that.
There we go. David Green joins us every single Tuesday just to hang out and show us his charts and take some trades. David, always a pleasure, man.
As always, guys. Have a great week.
All right. Have a good one. Hey, Shelly asked, when is Wordle time? You want to make that right now?
Yeah,
Should we
you
do
know, it's
Wordle?
funny you asked that. I was curious because on the actual Wordle website,
Yeah.
you can only play like the one game that's
Right.
that day, and then the next day they upload it.
Right.
But I Googled Wordle archive, and someone from Reddit made an open source archive. So I guess it's only been going on for 206 days, all the way back to the first. Where I'll share that link with you right now, Spencer, so that if you're ever, itching for some more Wordle.
Should I? Okay, I appreciate that. Maybe put in the chat as well. Should we play some Wordle right now?
I'm playing the very first one ever right now.
Well, wait. Let's play today's Wordle.
Yeah, no, yeah, you go ahead. I've already
right.
played it. I'll show you what I did on it after.
All right. So this is today's Wordle. So I basically have to guess. I have no idea what. Here's how the game works. You have 6 guesses, right? You see, there's 6 rows there. To guess the word of the day. Okay, and there's no hints. There's nothing. If you guess the letter correct, it'll tell you if the letter is in the word. It'll also tell you if the letter is in the correct spot in the word. And that's all. So I'm just gonna and you can't just type letters. It has to be like an actual word. So I know there's a bunch of strategies here. So R, S, T, L, and E are your most popular letters in the English alphabet. I'm going to go with stale, and then I'm going to hit enter. And that's not good. Not a good start. 0 for 5. Not a place you want to be. Okay, so I have to pivot away from stale. Tiny pie, sort of, but not really. Okay. Should probably go vowel heavy. That's sort of like where my strategy's at. So let's go. I want to guess an I or an O or an a U if possible. All 3 would be ideal. So let's go with. I don't know if that's a word. Yeah. Let's try that. Okay, so now I and N are correct. They're in the word, but they're not in the correct spot, right? So it's helpful, but it's not super helpful, right? And so and all the rest of these letters, I know that they're not even in the word. So I shouldn't even waste my time guessing words that have an S or an E or an O or a G. You guys got it, right? So here we are, 2 guesses down. We have 4 guesses to go. Yesterday was my first time playing. It took me to the very last guess to get it, or the second to last guess to get it. So it's sort of like Scrabble, sort of like Bananagrams, sort of like Wheel of Fortune in a weird way. All those things. What else should we do? If anyone has any suggestions, holler at me. Let's do like N-I. I know there's no G. Oh, no, that's not an I. The I is not over there. Let's do...
Ha, I just solved the first one.
Cinch. So the I is not the second letter, though. That's the problem. But... And I wouldn't want to guess that because I already know... Oh, no, actually, I don't know if there's a C, an N, or an H. Okay, so... Cinch is not... I don't think that's too valuable enough of a guess, though. Night? Well, I know there's no G, and I know there's no T. So I'm not going to guess night. Let's try... All right, fuck, screw it. Let's just try cinch. It's not a great guess, but it was not a good guess. Okay, that didn't help me at all.
Oh man.
Let's try.
PW coaching. Powell's going on right now. We are streaming on a different stream, but whenever that ends.
But this is PW. This is way more fun.
Yeah, we're playing
This
Wordle.
is way more fun. We're playing Wordle. Way more fun. What if I did like a D? There's no A.
I like this. All right.
There's no O. I haven't guessed a U yet, so I haven't guessed R yet. Doink. Is that a word? Can I guess doink? That's
No.
not a word. Damn. All right. Onomatopoeia, I guess. So, yeah, Shelly, this is the one for today. I know there's an N, and I'm just kind of guessing faster here. Okay, so that was very helpful. DRI.
And you know there's an N.
What stock is DRI, everyone?
Darden Restaurants.
All right, so I know the N is the last letter.
Huh? Not necessarily.
Oh, that's true. I don't know that. It could be there. So let's go with drink.
Ding, ding, ding.
There we go, everyone. We got it. Fang Woods is watching on Twitch.
So here, Spencer, I'm going to share my and
yeah,
this'll
go
be
for it
real quick, just because I'll show you, because I think we have some similar strategies here, and I got I think I just got a little lucky with this one. Wait, where is it now? Okay, here we go. Okay, so what I did, I started with
Wait,
after.
You didn't share your screen.
Oh,
yeah,
that would help.
That would be very helpful.
So I started with after, and
Okay.
like you, I wanted to. I want to use like my vowels first, so I can know what vowels. So I did after and then round.
Ooh.
And so after these two words, I've used A, E, O, U, and I know that none of those four vowels are in here.
Ooh.
But I do know that
Y.
I do know that the N is here, and I know that there's a D and an R. And I know, so my first inclination was like, okay, if there's a D and an R together, maybe they're at the beginning. And then first I tried Y, and I couldn't find a word that was like this. Then I was like, okay, what about I? I know the N is here.
Uh-huh.
And then I hit drink on my third one.
Yeah. Good.
So
Good.
yeah. I
There we
also, I guess it doesn't save my thing. But yeah, we only got to wait about 12 more hours for the next one. But like I said, if you're interested in this, I'll drop the link in the chat one more time for the archive. And who knows, if we have a couple minutes, maybe toward the end of the show, I'll play one off or Spencer and I can work on the archive one together.
Should we make this like a daily segment? This is like the new viral game everyone's playing.
Everyone is playing this. So if you haven't heard about this yet, start playing it and send it to your family, and they'll be like, oh, wow, that's cool that you...
You're so intelligent, Aaron.
Yeah, exactly. My aunt
You
and I actually play the
you have all the best words.
like New York Times Daily Mini every day.
Oh shoot, that's a good thing.
It's fun.
Anyway. Okay, so that was a fun segment. Let's go back to the stonks though. Is Powell still going? I think he might be done. Maybe not. Can let me check on Powell real fast. Is he okay? He's still going? Wait a minute. Our stream is still going. But is Jerome Powell still going? Can somebody be monitoring our stream, please? Okay, yeah, he's still going. All right. This is going to go all damn day. Okay. Anyway, moving away from that. So what else did I want to talk about? Oh, you know what we should do before I forget? Let's do a real fast crypto update if we can. And I'll pull up the heat map and we can talk about the crypto world for the next minute or so. I gotta find my heat map though. I don't know where it went. There it is. And my heat map just needs to be refreshed. Waiting for my page to refresh so I can look at my heat map. There we go. Okay. Well, what do we got going on here today? Oh! Yesterday was all red except for near, right? Near was the one that was green. Everything else was red. Today it's all green with the exception of Chainlink. All right. Bitcoin back hovering near 43,000. Ethereum above the critical level of 3,000. How critical was that? I don't know. I just made that up. But nice day across the board. Good day for Solana, up 5% to 142. I like to see that. Good day for Polkadot, up almost 10%. Good day for Matic, up almost 15%. Nice. And then Near, which is your crazy runner of the week, right? Which is up another 18% today. Wow. All right. This heat map powered by Quantify Crypto. These updates powered by Voyager. If you want some free Bitcoin, all you have to do is download their app, enter the offer code ZING, fund your account with $100, make a trade, any trade. You can go long, you can go short, you could buy Bitcoin, you could buy Matic, buy Near, and then they will
but
send
you don't actually know what's on. Well, you can.
You're right. I'm making that up. You can only buy what's on the damn platform, right? That should go without saying. You can't buy things that aren't on the Voyager platform. So check it out. And good day for crypto. Good day for tech. Good day for pretty much everything. Oh, what was that?
This was the.
That was the link to the
link, but
to
wait,
the-
no, here. Sorry, I keep
Wordle.
sharing the wrong. Here we go. This is one that I was doing off the. Wait, why is it?
Yeah, just a rotationary day while he does that. You know, I'm just watching the market, and it's like all the value stocks, like utility, all the safety stocks, utilities, staples, all down today. Anyway, this is the archive.
Yeah, this is the number 2 Wordle ever. I just solved the first one. So I did the same thing where I guessed after and then round, because that's basically all your vowels, A, E, O, and U. And
That's a smart strategy.
none of the letters in either word were in there.
Ooh,
Then
that's
I did
tough.
still third, and the S and the I were in there, and then sinks fourth. We have the S and the I. I don't know. So this S is yellow, but I don't know if that means there's another S in here somewhere, or if that was just saying.
That's confusing.
It is confusing. So I
confusing.
think. I don't know. Like I don't even S.
What do you do when there's more than one? When there's the same letter more
I
than
don't
once
know.
in a
I'm
word?
sure if we.
Can
sure
we
we'll figure
can we
it
get
out.
the Wordle people on the show and ask them what happens in that
Like,
situation?
S I
Can someone email the CEO of Wordle right now?
sip.
Producer Ron?
All right. So we know there's no T. We know there's no R. We know there's no D. We know there's no N.
What about G N?
No, we know there's no N.
Oh
but
shoot,
site. But we know there's no T.
that's okay. Well, yeah, but see if you can get the G at the H.
I know, but this is like our second to last
Yeah,
guess.
all right. I would go for it. There's no T.
Oh.
We know that.
Size maybe.
No,
But
we know
there's no
there's
S. The S isn't there.
Mm.
All right, fine. We'll try site. See, that did not help us at all.
Spencer, not helpful.
Well, it's kind of helpful in the sense that we know now there's no G or H. Sib.
Wait, can you scroll down to the keyboard so we can?
Okay, yeah. So these.
SIX. Oh, is there an E? There's no E.
No, there's no E. The ones that are not colored right now. So your J,
Yeah.
Z, X, C, V. Those are your ones that we have not used yet.
SIZ.
Sib.
Size. This game is addicting everyone. This is the show now.
Yeah.
This is the future of the show. We're just gonna play this game all day. I should mention we're gonna have the CEO of Awakn Life Sciences on the show in a few minutes here, just for awareness, everyone. We're gonna have actual interviews and content coming up. I promise. But in the meantime, we're having way too much fun. So Anthony Tennyson should be coming on in the next 8 minutes. Then we'll have Robert Roy after that, and Christian Fromhertz after that. So we will get back to the Joey. We'll get back to the stocks. Give us a second. This is fun for us. Simps.
I'm really lost here, honestly.
Wait, there's no R. There's no E.
Shelly, come on. Someone help us out.
And then like XE. Simba?
No, there's no A.
Yeah, but we don't know if there's a B.
But there's no A.
You're right.
So
There's
it can't
no
be
A.
Simba.
6. I don't know, man. Ryan, you're talking about LAC. Yeah, I was watching the lithium stocks earlier because I don't know. I forget why. I just was. I keep seeing articles about like this global lithium shortage. It's having a great day today, but I really am starting to come around on this idea that everything is just going to be stuck in a range. You know what I mean? And I'll pull up the chart here right now, and then Aaron's going to figure out how to get this Wordle. But like, I'm just starting to come around on this idea. Like yesterday, notwithstanding, obviously yesterday was one of those days where we just kind of, flushed and then came back. I could definitely subscribe to this idea that, with LAC here, for example, you go back to early November, you just play this range, this whatever $28 to $35 range. Are we making progress? We're not. I'm sorry, my chart wasn't on the screen there. I apologize. That's what I meant. The $28 to $35 range, right? Oh, Singe. Well, there's no E, Joey, but that's a great guess.
There's also no N or G. So you can see the N and the G right here are not in the puzzle. Civ. No. All right, yeah, let's do this. Let's go through each letter that we have. No.
I don't know any SI.
No.
I feel like SIB would be.
I think it could be SI.
Oh wait, what about like what about the second to last letter being a Y, like as your vowel, like Sybil? I don't know. Like B, BY. Well, there's no L, but like BY.
I don't know any words like that. SIBY.
Oh wait. What if it ends in Y?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a lot more. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it could be like
Sinky, Simbi. I don't know. 60, dude.
no, there's no T.
Oh, I thought we had it, Rick.
Nope.
I thought we had it. This is the last guess too.
6.
I thought that was it. Simpty. There's no T, but Simpy.
Sick.
SIMPY. I don't know.
Is that a word?
Shimmy? No, we know the I is the second letter. Anyway. Yeah, Christian, this is no longer a stock market show. This is a Wordle show. We just play Wordle all day long, in between our segments about, actual stocks.
All right, I'm just going to guess something so we can finally figure out what it was.
Yeah, at this point, I just want to know. It doesn't tell you? Sissy.
So I guess the
Wow.
S.
All right, that was tricky.
So maybe the S here.
There was 3 S's. Okay, so now we know going forward that when they say that, it doesn't necessarily mean.
I actually don't know. That's a good question. I'll investigate.
Well, can you just email the CEO of Wordle?
Yeah, we can get him on.
All right. I've got the Benzinga Pro scanner tool. As always, I'm watching movers off the open, movers in the last 5 minutes. Bark, which somebody mentioned before, obviously having a great day today. That jumps out to me. It's up 25% from the open, 24% now. I have not seen the news, if there is news. This is one of your gainers. Oh, they gave guidance? Holy cow. How many companies are giving guidance this week? This is like guidance week. Can I show you guys something? I'm in a Benzinga Pro news feed right now, okay? And I'm going to filter my news feed. I'm going to filter it just for headlines that are tagged guidance, Okay, I went to my little news thing. I'm checking guidance. This is every guidance headline that we've had in Benzinga Pro. Just this is just today. Okay, this is today, and look at yesterday. On a normal day, there's like, I don't know, 5. There's like 5 to 10 on like a normal day, and they're usually random companies. These are big companies. Look at all these guidance headlines. Look at this. This is yesterday. This is insane. Right, yesterday we had Lulu, we had Crocs, we had Cardinal Health, Genesco, Bristol Myers. Today, if we go back to the top here, today we had Digital Ally, Shake Shack, which I think is still higher, but I have not checked. AbbVie reaffirmed their fiscal year 2025 guidance. Good for them, man. They know what their guidance for this product will be, and their revenue will be for in 3 years. Who else do we have today? Illumina, that was last night. We had POWW with guidance today. Abercrombie and Fitch had guidance today. Nokia had guidance today. Just a lot of guidance today and yesterday. Pretty crazy stuff. Anyway, I go back to the charts. So, like, let's check in on some of those. Right, Abercrombie and Fitch, their guidance was a little bit light. Mitch is saying Powell's done.
Oh, hey.
All right. Those of you coming over from our Jerome Powell stream, welcome to the jungle, where we hang out and play.
Well, I think we need to end the stream first.
No, Mitch was doing that. Or no, he's not doing that. Okay. Can somebody end the stream? And
I just did.
You did. Thank you. Because we have to bring some order to this chaos. We have to bring in our next guest here in a sec. Anthony Tennyson from Awakn Life Sciences. So okay, now that that's over, can we just take stock? Let's just take stock on the stocks. Now that he's done speaking for the day, at least. This is one of the reasons I actually sometimes prefer the futures over the SPY, right? Is because if you're looking at the futures, you would see just crazy volume spikes in the last couple hours as he was going. And you see just back and forth zigzag. You don't really see that in the SPY, unfortunately. It's more of just a futures characteristic. In any case, everyone should be in a good mood today because the market is higher than it was when Jerome Powell started speaking. So, hey, we're all in good moods now.
Stop me if you've heard that before.
No, I feel like usually it's the opposite.
What?
Well, I guess I'm thinking about last week. I don't know. I feel like all right. It's mixed, right? Some days he's talking and
all right. We need some statistician, some data collector out there.
Yeah.
Get me like a graph that shows every time that Powell spoke. I bet it's 80% that the markets go up.
Maybe.
I mean, how do you think he got the name Pumpin' Powell?
That's true. He pumped the market. It's true.
All right. Well, we did mention we've got a packed show today, so joining us in a few minutes will be Anthony Tennyson, the CEO of Awakn Life Sciences.
We're talking psychedelics.
Yeah, we're talking psychedelics. If you know, I mean, this is a space that I'm very interested. I'm very interested in basically any emerging market. So, to me, I'll put psychedelics in that category. You know, all these new trends and industries we have, like legalized sports gambling, psychedelics. I think there's a lot of exciting emerging markets right now, and psychedelics might be at the very top of the list for me. If you guys watched the show, you know we had Cybin CEO on a few months ago, or probably about like 6 weeks ago at this point.
Yep.
And someone in the chat was asking about Tilray. I believe we have Erwin Simon, the CEO of Tilray, coming on at 4:30. Aaron Thomas
on this channel today.
Yep.
4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We're talking to the CEO of Tilray.
Yep. But without further ado, if I get a little thumbs up or something from Anthony that he's ready to come on, then we'll go ahead and bring Anthony on. We'll talk some psychedelics.
I think we're ready.
All right. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get Anthony on stream. Anthony, thank you for joining us this Tuesday. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good, good. So before we get started, do you want to just give us the quick, elevator pitch, 60 seconds on Awakn Life Sciences for some of our audience that may not be familiar?
Absolutely. Delighted to do so. Awakn Life Sciences, we're a publicly traded biotechnology company focused on developing and delivering revolutionary treatments for addiction. That's substance and behavioral addictions, which is the largest unmet medical need of modern times. Substance addiction affects about 20% of the planet. Behavioral addictions affects another many hundreds of millions of people. And for every person suffering from addiction, there's a spouse, a child, a colleague, a friend, a family also affected. Current treatments are pretty ineffective, to be polite. And so what we're doing is we're developing revolutionary treatments for addiction, focused on combining psychedelics and therapy together to better treat this chronic and poorly served disease. We're working with ketamine, MDMA, but also developing our own compounds, which we believe will be more effective and efficient than those compounds. So we're active in preclinical stage research, clinical stage research, but we're also delivering those therapeutics in clinics today, helping people today, and also earning revenue today.
Yeah, I mean, for any biotech company that, I think that's the big question for a lot of investors is revenue, right? Because a lot of times you'll buy into these biotech companies that are years away from revenue. So how are you bringing that to fruition? How do you expect to, have profits, have revenue in the near term?
That's a great question. It's one I'm delighted to get asked and to answer. So we're a biotechnology company active in preclinical and clinical stage research, but we've got two near-term revenue streams. We've got clinics. We've got two of them open right now, one in the UK, one in Norway, with a third one to come on stream in the next couple of weeks. Goal is to have 20 clinics open by the end of 2024. Each clinic can generate 4 million sterling top line. So that's 80 million sterling top line revenue as we go into financial year 25. So that's revenue stream one. Revenue stream two is recognizing that there's an incredibly large market opportunity beyond our core territories of UK, EU. We will be licensing our IP into the North American addiction treatment industry to enable existing but underperforming addiction clinics to deliver much more effective treatments for their clients. So those are the two revenue streams. Clinics revenue started already. Licensing partnerships revenue to start Q2 this year.
Yeah, and I've got that pulled up in the investor deck right here. Multiple scalable revenue streams, clinics like you mentioned in 2021, partnerships in 2022. Because in the psychedelic space and really any emerging market, there's this idea among investors that you can actually be too early sometimes, right? That you can invest in a company and really it'll take 5, 6, however many years down the road for that investment to actually work out. So what would you say to investors that are maybe on the fence about getting into the psychedelic space in general?
I'd say look at the announcement today from us. We've published the results of a phase 2AB clinical trial for ketamine-assisted therapy to treat alcohol use disorder. Alcohol use disorder affects 400 million people. There's a 75% failure rate with current treatments, resulting in a 16% penetration rate for those treatments because there is such a low success rate. We've published results today for a trial. It's published in the American Journal of Psychiatry. Instead of there being a 75% failure rate, we had an 86% success rate with proprietary ketamine-assisted therapy to treat alcohol use disorder. And because ketamine is already a medicine that's approved in the UK, in the EU, and in the US, we can deliver those treatments today in our clinics and soon in our licensing partnerships in the US. So now is the right time to invest in Awakn Life Sciences, because Awakn Life Sciences is bringing treatments to market today and is earning revenue today to better treat the biggest unmet medical need of our times.
Yeah, and something, Anthony, that I've spoken with other executives in the psychedelic space is just the fact that over the past 20 years or so, there hasn't been great developments in drugs for mental disorders, whether you're talking about depression, anxiety, or addiction issues like we're talking about now. It's like the same SSRIs or benzos that have been prescribed for the past 20 years. There hasn't been a lot of advancement there. Why do you think that is?
Well, I can't really speak to why there hasn't been, what other companies have done and why they've chosen not to advance their approaches. But I think now it has been proven and accepted that psychedelics has the potential to radically change treatment options and outcomes for patients. Focusing specifically on addiction, we're taking a revolutionary approach to the treatment of addiction that's driven by Professor David Nutt, our Chief Research Officer, who is the global authority in this industry, in the addiction and psychedelics industry. We're focusing on multiple receptors rather than focusing on our medicines and our drugs on multiple receptors rather than any individual receptor. We're using psychedelic drugs to disrupt the connections between brain circuits, the brain circuits that house and drive the addictive behaviors. And during the space that disruption provides, we're coming in with proprietary psychotherapy. So it's that unique combination of psychedelic compounds and therapy together that will enable us to better treat addiction. And that approach that we're taking by targeting multiple receptors and brain circuits enables us to target both behavioral and substance addictions in a way that no other company has. And I see up there on your chart, on your screen, compare us to other players in the industry with regard to the maturity and advanced level of our research. We're in clinical stage phase 2B research. There's other companies that are at that stage that are worth, a couple of $100 million compared to where we are. So really, it's a good opportunity for your investors to consider Awakn Life Sciences.
Yeah. And the way I see it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there's kind of an existing roadmap out there, right? Because we've seen through the cannabis industry, once upon a time, 10, 15 years ago, I think it was consensus among the medical community that, okay, there might be some benefits here, but, are we really going to use cannabis to treat some of these, issues, mental thing? And now we've seen a lot of these, CBD products get through the FDA. Do you see psychedelics going through a similar process, or do you see it kind of being a completely separate thing from what we've seen with cannabis over the past 15 years?
I think it's a completely different thing. The psychedelics industry is very much a biotechnology company based upon clinical trials, data-driven outcomes. I don't think there is the same confusion that has existed perhaps with the cannabis industry with regard to medical wellness or recreational. Our industry in the psychedelics industry is very much focused on the traditional biotechnology route of preclinical stage, drug discovery, drug development, coming into first time in man, or first time in human, I should say, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, marketing authorization. So some companies that are working with the more traditional compounds of ketamine, MDMA, like we are, or psilocybin, can be moved straight into clinical stage research. But we're also working in preclinical stage to develop our own novel compounds. And so we're working with ketamine and MDMA at clinical stage research, phase 2A, phase 2B, to develop the therapy side of the therapeutics package that we're going to bring to bear to better treat addiction. But we are also very active in our preclinical stage research, working with one of the largest drug discovery companies in the world, Evotech, to develop our own proprietary novel compounds that we believe will be more effective at disrupting the brain circuits that house the addictive behaviors, that we will then bring from preclinical into clinical stage and combine with the therapies that we've developed by working with ketamine and MDMA, together with the proprietary compounds that we've developed to develop and to bring to market in multiple territories a really, really groundbreaking and revolutionary approach to treating addiction.
Yeah, and so how was this decision made, Anthony, to focus solely on the addiction disorders compared to some of the other companies on this list do kind of a wider range of, say, from depression to anxiety to PTSD? It seems like Awakn is very solely focused on addiction.
That is indeed correct. We are very much focused on that. It's about we believe in focusing and executing. Our team are the global experts in the use of psychedelics to better treat addiction. I mentioned Professor David Nutt. Professor David Nutt has written over 20 books, published 400 papers, and he was an advisor, a drug czar advisor to the UK state. He is one of the top 3 experts globally in the area of addiction. he's our chief research officer. We've also got our chief medical officer, Dr. Ben Sessa, who's well renowned in the psychedelics industry, but actually he led the world's first study for MDMA into alcohol use disorder that was published back in February. And we've also got Professor Celia Morgan working for us, who led the trial that was published today, which was the first controlled trial to assess ketamine as a treatment for alcohol use disorder. So we have got the global leaders in the psychedelics industry working for us. We've surrounded ourselves with some industry leaders, which gives us a right to focus on treating addiction, but also really, it's what drives us every single day. I'm an Irish guy. I've seen what alcohol does to society. I worked in the financial services industry in Ireland for many years, and the downtown financial district in Ireland is cheek by jowl with one of the most underprivileged neighborhoods in the country. And so I've seen for many years the damage that heroin has inflicted on individuals, families, and communities. The treatments for alcohol use disorder, for heroin addiction, and even for gambling addiction, for compulsive sexual behavior that includes pornography addiction, they're just no good. There's a high failure rate for the treatments for addiction. 75% for alcohol use disorder, over 80% for tobacco, over 90% for opioids. People aren't even tracking it for behavioral addictions. So it is beholden upon us as a company and as individuals to bring to bear the expertise that we have in the company, the potential that psychedelics has to provide hope for these individuals from the current treatments aren't working. It's beholden upon us to bring all of that to bear to solve this problem, which is the biggest unmet medical need of modern times.
Yeah, well, and Anthony, I mean, I just want to reiterate your point that you made at the beginning, that everyone, if not personally affected by one of these addiction disorders, knows someone, has a loved one, has a family member, a friend that is. So again, I mean, I think we all want to see more progress in this field, and you know, I'm rooting for you guys. But Anthony, I'm keeping up with the chat, and someone said something essentially along the lines of, there is no pill for addiction, gotta do it on your own. So I'm just curious, I guess, about the, you know, I understand it's not just a drug from Awakn, you have the therapy as well. So is that combining the actual psychedelic compounds with some CBT, some like cognitive behavioral therapy, or what does that look like in practice?
Yeah, so listen, I think the comment there that maybe came in from some in the audience that there is no pill and you got to do it by yourself, I fundamentally disagree with that approach. There are a limited number of people for whom the current treatment paradigms work, who do have the ability, because of whatever construct they exist in, to avoid temptation and to just say no. But that is not proven to be effective for the majority of people. Again, 75% of people who suffer from alcohol use disorder are back drinking within 12 months of seeking treatment. 875,000 people were admitted to hospital in the United States over the last 12 months for alcohol use disorder for the second time or more. So they have relapsed. 50,000 people in the UK treated with alcohol use disorder. 50% of those for the third time or more. So people can't just do this by themselves. So what we are doing is we are targeting the brain circuitries that house the addictive behaviors at a very, very high level. You've got lower level brain functions, mid-level brain functions, and upper level brain functions. Your cognitive part of your cognitive control, or your human mind, that's the upper part of the brain. Typically speaking, in a non-addicted brain, your personality maintains control over the overall system. Someone who's been repeatedly exposed to addictive substances or experienced addictive behaviors, what actually happens is the lower level parts of the brain, like learning and memory, reward, driver, pleasure, they actually short circuit the system. And the cognitive control part of the mind loses control over the overall system. The analogy I use, it's kind of like the software loses control over the hardware. And that's why people who are addicted often say, I don't know why I ended up back in the pub. I don't know why I placed more bets, even though it's having detrimental impact on me, my career, my family. I don't know why I watch more pornography, even though I know it's destroying my relationships. That's because your mind, the human personality, the mind has lost control over the lower level functions. And so what we're doing is we're using psychedelic drugs like ketamine and MDMA in the near term, but also developing new compounds which we believe will be more effective to disrupt the connections between those different brain circuits. And during the space that disruption provides, we're coming in with proprietary psychotherapy in order to enable people to lay down permanent and longer lasting change and to be more resilient to those addictive behaviors. And it has been proven that people can't do it by themselves. And that's why we are doing this, to provide hope for those individuals, families, and communities for the current treatments just don't work.
Yeah, Ryan D and I in the chat says I really like his response, and I'm inclined to agree. Just Anthony, before we let you go here, we got a question about the any withdrawal symptoms or issues that are typical here with ketamine and what that looks like.
No, so ketamine is actually, there's a bit of a misunderstanding. Ketamine is an approved medicine as an anesthetic and as a painkiller. It is the most widely prescribed painkiller in the EU, UK, and US.
Oh, wow.
When someone presents in an A&E and they are conscious but unresponsive and in pain, a doctor will administer ketamine because it is safe. During the course of our treatments, we are only using ketamine 3 or 4 times over the space of a number of weeks as an adjunct to or a support mechanism to improve the effectiveness of psychotherapy. So that is not enough to either build up a dependence or any problems.
Okay. Are there side effects? Surely there are side effects, though. I mean,
well, there are side effects, but not to build up any resistance to. So we have to increase dosage.
Right. Okay. What are the side effects?
Well, the side effects are the dissociative effect and the neuroplasticity that ketamine delivers that actually improves the effectiveness of psychotherapy. It enables people to reflect upon the challenges that they've experienced in their lives. It enables people to understand sometimes the traumas that they have experienced that lead them to or have led them to consume addictive substances or engage in addictive behaviors. Because in essence, addiction is a disease. It's a chronic disease. It's a poorly treated disease that is based upon a complex interaction between brain circuits, genetics, and life experience. Often that life experience can be early childhood trauma, adolescent trauma, or adult trauma. But there are other factors as well. And so what we use ketamine, and we use ketamine in our clinic right now, but we're also conducting research in MDMA, is to enable people to disrupt some of those circuits, but also to enable people to gain an understanding and insight as to what has happened to them in their lives, overcome some of those traumas in conjunction with proprietary psychotherapy.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yep.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna just wrap. I think that was a great note to wrap it up on. Unless you
I had one last question,
Go
Anthony, and that was just about, just the perception, both maybe in the United States and globally, of psychedelic drugs. So whether you're talking MDMA, ketamine, psilocybin, what do you think is going to take us over that edge to where more people are accepting of this notion that, hey, these psychedelic compounds, we can use them and they can make a real difference. They can help a lot of people that need it.
So that's a great question. And it's about data. It's about data produced as a result of clinical trials, clinical research. Companies are already in phase 3 for psychedelics. For example, there's a company called MAPS that are in phase 3 for MDMA assisted therapy to treat PTSD. A company like Compass just completed its phase 2 for psilocybin assisted therapy to treat treatment-resistant depression. And companies like us have just published phase 2 results for ketamine assisted therapy to treat alcohol use disorder. These are conditions that have been historically very, very poorly treated. The only treatments available have kind of papered over the cracks, but never got through to the root cause and addressed the root cause. There is now strong clinical trial evidence and data that is proving that psychedelic assisted therapy has the potential to help where medicines have not been successful in helping over the last number of years or decades. And I think as companies like us and companies like Awakn Life Sciences continue to invest in clinical research and secure marketing authorization and regulatory approval for these methods of use or medicines to treat these chronic and poorly treated diseases, then I think we will gain broad acceptance. And because we have the potential these medicines have the potential to be far, far more effective than anything that's currently available.
Yeah, and that's what I was alluding to when I mentioned the fact that I've talked about it with other executives. Just there hasn't been a lot of strides made in the mental health space over the last like 20 years or so. So I'm very excited to see both what you guys are at Awakn are able to do and the psychedelic space grow as a whole.
Thank you very much. We're delighted. You know, that's what drives us every single day. It's to provide treatments for people who are currently and solutions for people who are currently poorly served and poorly treated.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much, Anthony.
Wonderful. Thanks. Good to speak with you.
All right.
You as well.
Especially joining us so late in the day. You know, I think very often, Aaron, we are guilty of like reducing companies to just like their ticker and their chart, right? Good reminder that like there's more to it than that. Right?
Yeah, I mean, this is a space that I'm very bullish in.
Yeah.
You know, long term, I think, like I said, it's hard sometimes. You can almost be too early in a trade sometimes. So I'm just kind of adding to my psych positions long term. But my mom's a PA, a physician's assistant, and she went to PA school, which is like medical school back in like the 80s or whatever. So, you know, she's pretty old school. And over time, she's become like a lot more set. You know, she'll send me studies and be like, because we have family members and stuff that struggle with both other mental health disorders and also addiction. And she'll send me like studies like, oh my God, look at what this company was able to do with psilocybin or MDMA. And I'm always like shocked to see it because I'm like, oh, Mom, like really? Like this, you know, whatever. But it's cool to see. And I think more and more we'll see people like that in the medical community grow more keen to the idea of like, all right, it's time we can start trying some of these other things.
Yeah.
And like Anthony said, it's all about data. It's all about I guess the one problem is that I was like, we live in a day and age where you can have data and numbers and people still refute them.
Nah, that's a separate issue. That's a separate issue. We're not going to go down that road. Hey, let's bring on our next guest here. We're running a little bit behind schedule, but that's how we roll here at Benzinga. We run behind schedule.
Shelly. Spencer's going to be an impact. He's going to be a
Shelly's make fun of me, but I feel
ESG.
like no, Shelly. I feel like you're making fun of me is misguided here because that ain't no. Although there's a very real concern about ESG investing, and there's very real criticism about whether it's just stupid marketing, which I could maybe get behind if that's your criticism. But ESG investing is for real, and I'm for it. So she's making fun of me, but Shelly,
well, I think
Shelly,
like if you made all your investment decisions based on like what companies you think are like doing great things and that you love, and from like an altruistic standpoint, you probably wouldn't. I don't know. Maybe you would have great returns. Maybe you wouldn't. But maybe that should play a small role in your DD. You know, right?
Yeah.
Like I got a lot of flack because earlier, like a few months ago, I pitched I said I liked the value of some like private prison stock, and I haven't heard the end of it from Solar Up in the chat. But yeah, like that's not a company I want in my long-term portfolio, like private prison. You know, so I think it can play a small part in your DD when you're selecting companies.
For sure, totally agree. Okay, let's bring on Robert Roy. Let's talk some options trades. Robert Roy runs tradewithrob.com and Wealth Builders HQ, and here he is now. Robert Roy. Oh, you're on mute though. Get that microphone unmuted, and we can keep going here. In the meantime,
how we doing?
There we go. How we doing?
I am great. Yourself?
Doing fantastic. I see your charts. What do we have on the trade station today?
I got the charts. Well, I'm just looking at the S&P right now. I picked up some more SPY and Qs today. I added to my long positions. So, you know, with this dip that we took recently on the S&P 500, it just made sense to me as we started our bounce, particularly on the Qs today. It just made sense to add. It seems like we're getting these pullbacks and bounces, and I'm adding something on every one of these so far. So didn't quite get the correction I was hoping for, but I've got to take what the market gives us. They seem to like what's going on with Bernanke and Bernanke. Oh my goodness gracious, Powell. Bernanke is a decade ago. They seem like what's going on with Powell and interest rates. They're not concerned with it, so I'm going to run with it as much as I can.
That's the S&P.
That's the S&P. Yep.
What
so
else
we had a couple of candidates today. This morning we called out Abercrombie, ANF. Let me go back to TradeStation. Let's max this out. So they raised their sales outlook this morning. We talked about doing a naked put with the stock above 34.5. We got that move up. We got a nice move up in here. We pulled back here at 33.5. We bounced. I'm sorry, 33 and a half. Bounce up that 33 and a half level, and we were able to get in. We got 45 cents for the put for next week that we traded there. So that one worked out well. It was still in the trade, not closed out yet. Juniper is another one. They got upgraded by Bank of America.
So wait, I'm sorry. These are all trades for next week?
We did next week's options for them. You know, I probably should have slowed down and shared that, right?
Yeah. Let's back up.
All right. ANF, Abercrombie. So I looked at the options here, and we sold naked puts on this. I don't have the strike here that we did, but I think it was 33 and a half, 34, something like that. So 34 is for next week. We picked up, it wasn't next week, it was this week. We picked up 45 cents on the naked puts. We're up a little bit right now on it. It's actually, we're down a little bit right now on it. We're underwater just slightly. We're at 58 cents is the cost of the options right now. So we're right on the cusp of it. We're close to break even on this one. But I like Abercrombie. It's got some opportunity to run. Wait. Too many trades today. We did 7. We had a bear call spread called on this one, and a bull put spread and a call option on it. So that
okay.
And no, this is not right. I'm in the water. The stock's going up. What the hell is that happening? Oops, excuse my friend.
That's okay. That's okay.
Go figure. So yeah. So here we are. So we bought. We didn't sell. We bought next week's options. I couldn't get enough open interest. I like that 65 to 85 delta. Couldn't get enough open interest on the option this week. There was nothing there, right, for this week. For the long call, we look at right here, the $33 call option is what we did on this one. We're up 45 cents. So we got it at about $1.80, I think it was, or so on this position earlier today. We're still in the position. I'm probably going to wind out of it regardless by the end of the day. I like the overall move that Abercrombie is making with this announcement, this great bounce today. But we're in what I call a ping pong trade, right? Where we're bouncing between two major fib levels. We got that 32.70 and that 34.52 level. And we have a confluence of this green line, which is our 21 moving average, as resistance. So we're probably going to wind out of that right after the show today.
Okay. Speaking of ping pong trades, I can't get this idea out of my head, Rob, that like everything is a ping pong trade right now, or what we called it before was the pogo stick, right? You just bounce in a range, right? And the more charts I look at, and maybe this is a self-fulfilling prophecy, and I'm only seeing it because I want to see it, but like it just seems like every chart I look at, they all look the same. Uptrend, downtrend, doesn't matter. They're all bouncing around.
They do, or they seem to be. You're right. And the way I look at it is, it seems like the support and resistance levels are being respected by traders, which are great. The biggest thing here is most traders will not look at this level. At these levels, at least not for the same reasons that I will. They may look at this blue line because of this support back here, but I'm not looking at it just based on that. These are Fibonacci levels that have an extremely high potential of accuracy. We look for what we call a 2 standard deviation move, which is 2 fib lines. And that 2 Fibonacci line move equates for 94, 96, 98, whatever the number is, percent of all moves. When you look at, and I don't know the exact percentage, when you look at standard deviations, a 2 deviation move is about 96 or 98% of all moves are within that 2 standard deviations.
Yeah.
So I'm not a stats guy. I got a C in school. That was
no, but like that's a good. I think people like maybe who use that on charts, who use that indicator on charts, and they don't ever like take it the rest of the way, which is like, why is this here? Oh, it's here as a reminder that like 9 times out of 10 the move does not go beyond these limits, right? That's like
Correct.
that's what the standard deviation lines indicate.
It's exactly, and these are all fibs. These are all Fibonacci lines. So
sure.
I have traders that look at this, and and say, yeah, if you draw enough lines on the chart, sooner or later you're going to be right. And you know what? You are right. If you put a lot of lines every 15 cents, you're going to be right sooner or later. But this is drawn off of this top right here, this high that we had, and this low right in here. So we're talking about this drawing took place in the beginning of December, well, after the 1st, but from that data. So right about on the 7th or so is where we will look to draw the chart on this, the fibs. So all of this time has passed, and look at how these lines have been respected on a daily basis. Over and over again. Oh, but it didn't respect it here, Rob. Look how high it got. You know, it's a stock. It's a support line. It doesn't work exact every day.
Right.
If that were the case, we'd all make a heck of a lot more money if we could guarantee it would go to that level. We're in a zone, a range inside of there. And today's news, their upgrade on their outlook for sales was a great little bounce for them. Great little move. So, but you're right, Spencer. I see the same type of thing. The nice thing is if you're following along with what we do with Fibonacci's, you're understanding the why people are exiting there, where someone else might be exiting, and it's more because they feel like that's where they're supposed to get out. Yeah, it just seems like a good place to exit. And I guess the perfect way to look at that is if you look at a painting and say, wow, that is awesome. What a great picture, or a piece of furniture, or a house. Or you look at the house and go, wow, that's kind of ugly. You know, it's not designed with math in mind, with Fibonacci's in mind. Right. And fibs tell us mentally to get out. We just don't know why. I do because of where we've got these lines drawn, and they're very key for us in the market.
All right, so let's move away from Abercrombie and Fitch. We spent far too much time staring at this chart today.
Okay.
Let's find a chart, a stock that's more interesting than no offense to Abercrombie and Fitch, but
sure. You want to see existing trades, or you want to see?
Let's see what you have on. Let's see what you have on right now.
All right, so Home Depot is on right now.
Nice.
The Depot, and what was it? A ping pong trade. Right. So we go back here and look at the Depot. We opened up in the middle. We pushed down to that 385.21 level and bounced, right? So that's the key, 385.21 and 391.20. I've got the lines already drawn on TradeStation, 385.21 and 391.20. The whole key to this, the whole key is, where did we open up? In the middle. So this puts us in position number 1 in the chair. I'm back here, and I'm doing nothing with Home Depot. I'm watching. It was on I've got 6 monitors on this setup. It was on one of the 6 monitors is where it's loaded up there. I've got an alert set on there that if it pulls back near that 385.21, or if it gets near the 391.20, it's going to alert me that, hey, we've hit that target and it's time to do something. As the alert went off on this candle here, right, which was the 945, I waited for the next candle and we closed just slightly below. Right. So I went from position number 1 in the chair to position number 2, where I'm sitting straight up, and I'm very focused.
At that point, you're a little concerned.
Well, I haven't gotten in the trade yet.
I
haven't taken it because it opened in between here. I want clear and concise entries. If I don't have the right entry, I'm not taking the trade. I will sit back and wait. I've got plenty of stocks to look at every day. I don't need to rush on Home Depot or anybody else. There's about 8 or 10 that I look to trade regularly. Home Depot is one of them, on the lower price ones for me. And we got the pullback, and this candle closed below. The next candle we pushed back up, and we're up above. Now I'm on the edge of my chair. I'm in position 3 in the chair. I'm leaned forward. I'm focused on the chart, and I've got my hands on the keyboard. On this candle right here, Spencer, we pulled back. This wick came back and tagged that 385.21, and we got a bounce off of there. On that bounce was the entry into our trade. Right, and we did the 380 calls at 9.25 is what we ended on the 380 calls there. And if we look, and they're for the 21st. So the 380 calls right now are 25 by 65. So we got in at 9.25. Call it 9.45 is where we got in. It's worth 11.45 right now. So you got a $2 move right now on that option, right? So overall, that one is working out extremely well. I may hold on to this one overnight. I bought next week. We've got enough profit built into it. We'll see. But I'm looking to see. So we sold off part of it. We're looking to see if we can get a breakout above, because remember, we talked 2 standard deviation move. If we can get the breakout above 397.18 is our next resistance. And what's there? The 8 moving average. So there's the next level. So we're only sitting on half the position open right now. So that was trade number 2 for today.
Okay. How many, by the way, I don't think how many trades did you make today?
Between managing some of the covered calls, iron condor type positions, I think it was 6 or 7 we did today.
Okay.
I did SPY, I did Qs, I did BIDO. Those are 3 others that I added to today.
That's a busy day for you, Rob. I feel like 6 or 7 trades in a day is a lot for you.
It's a busy day.
Yeah.
But again, some were investments. I knew I wanted to make them on those last 3, so not a lot of work. It was just getting the pricing structure right and entering on a good bounce instead of if we're looking like we're tripping over. So yeah, overall looked good. It was good setup today. Good day. But I normally do 3 to 5, maybe 8 trades in an entire week that are not my managing of my covered calls and things like that. That's just directional and or day trades.
Nice.
On those. So
hey guys, by the way, if Rob joins us on our show, if you have tickers for Robert Roy, drop them in the chat. Rob will look at any chart of anything and give you his honest feedback. If he doesn't trade it, he'll say that too. But drop what up, Winter Pegs. Drop your tickers for Rob in the chat, and whatever you want to look at, we can look at as well. But okay, so these are a few trades that you ran into today. I would be curious, Rob, can you just pull up like a JP Morgan for me? I would like your thoughts on that because they report on Friday, and this is a constant trade that I'm looking at is run-ups into earnings reports. JP Morgan does typically have a run-up of a couple percentage points on average in the days and weeks into its earnings. So it's obviously already had a run here, but I'd be curious to get your thoughts here.
So it is. When it comes to earnings, Spencer, the only way that I trade them any longer, because we used to do something called a chicken trade, which was basically a strangle. We bought a call and a put out of the money, anticipating enough movement in a direction, and one side would go up, the other side would become worthless. But if you moved enough, you made enough on one leg that you were profitable. And the market makers figured that out. This is a few years ago now, and they start jacking prices up about 2 weeks prior to earnings on the options. And you don't get the moves that you would. I mean, I've seen it where Google had a $25 move one day and their options dropped $12 in value, on their call options, let's say. So because of that, I tend to trade them in 2 very specific ways. Both of them relate to the actual announcement happening. One of the things we do is on high value NASDAQ stocks. And when I say high value, talking about stocks that have high value in the NASDAQ. So the Amazons, the Apples of the world, Google, stocks that have a high percentage of ownership in the NASDAQ. We trade the futures on that as the announcement is taking place. They all announce after the market. So we're watching the NQ futures and we're trading the futures based on that movement, which we crush it on regularly. The other way I trade them is I wait until after the announcement, because that overinflated option tends to become underinflated or devalued, because the market maker realizes there's so many people that are going to need to get out of that put that just went against them, that they crush that price down, they collapse the volatility, and then instead of getting the $6 it was listed for, it may be worth $3.80. And I'll pick up a directional trade from that. So with that being said, banks do tend to have nice runs into earnings. Right? Any of the banking industry does, Citigroup, all of them. If we get the bounce, I see 172 as the easy mark. And we're in a bullish bias. And I think with what's going on with Powell, not the nomination, again, the confirmation, but the interest rate hikes, I think you're going to see some more profit going on in there. So if we're right, we're looking at, if the market moves it up, we're looking at 172. If it does go against us, we'll blow through the 165 and we'll hit that 162 easily.
Okay, let's do a couple more tickers here. The tickers are flying. So let's look at okay, fine, Ryan. Since we looked at JP Morgan, you want to look at Goldman Sachs? I mean, the charts look identical, so I'm sure the analysis will be identical as well.
We just added Goldman Sachs to our list. We took, who did we take off? Wasn't Square. We kept Square. We pulled somebody off our list that was not performing for us at all over the last year. We had very little profit on that trade whatsoever for the year, and we added Goldman Sachs. They've got earnings coming up in a couple of days. The Fibonacci is pretty clear. It was a very strong bullish thrusting pattern that we got through that fib. We have tagged that 618 2 different times here. Great moves on both of them. Same thing here. I mean, we got 1, 2, 3 line move on each of those pushes. Right here, we got 1.5 before we finally continued. So we're in a bullish bias right now, but we're running into what I call a health zone, right, or an area of strength. You've got that 400 and the 402 level, which is what that blue rectangle box is. That area is going to offer some additional resistance in there across the board. So until we can either A, close above it, retest the 402 and bounce, or B, break where we get under the lowest moving average, I'll sit back and potentially day trade it, but really not excited about it with as much. See, when I talk clear and concise, we don't have a clear path to the next line. I've got an 8 moving average, a 55, a 21. It's a mess. You're driving in Midtown Manhattan at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's nuts.
Yeah.
So I'd rather do it up here where we are, you know, at 1 o'clock in the morning, or down here where we're 1 o'clock in the morning. We're out of the way. All right. So nothing for me on Goldman right now.
All right. Let's do one more. Let's do. Oh man. Daniel, I can't tell if those are all different tickers or the same one. You want to look at like Tesla calls? I mean,
Tesla. Why would I not? I always love Tesla. Again, we got to be cautious with earnings. Let's see. We just checked.
Earnings not probably for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I know. For us, for me, if it's less than 3 weeks, if it's before this blue line, Spencer, we will only day trade it. We will not swing trade it if it's to the left of that blue line. But with where we are right now, we're kind of in the middle of these two fib lines, right? We've got a lot of room to go. Right now, we're at 1060. We're looking at 1103. So we can easily make that move in a day. But I'd want to see the push coming up off of the moving average there, close above that 8 moving average, which is the pink line. Retested and bounced with that 1103 as our resistance. And if we look for the options, again, I'm a big day trader. This is one of my favorite stocks to trade. I actually got my cardiologist involved with this, and every time I see him now, I just picked up some more shares. So Tesla for this week, we're looking at a 66 delta. It's going to cost us about $41 a share, because I want at least a 65 delta and a 100 open interest. If you're going to try going out of the money, I would stay away from the at the money options. Stay away from that 50-ish delta, because you're paying for the highest time value. That is where the market maker, it's a coin flip. You're paying the most money for time value there. I would get closer to a 40 delta if you were looking at trying to go out of the money with them. Just realize you're not going to get as much move. You will get 39-cent move-ish for every dollar the stock moves at the 1080s, and I will get 66 cents for every dollar the stock moves at 1035.
All right, what did two more, and then we got to hop up. Pfizer and Visa. We'll end with those.
All right, so Pfizer. Let's go to Pfizer. So Pfizer, I love the position it's at. We've got a confluence of the 8 and 21 moving average and that 55.70. Earnings is to the right of that blue bar. Let's see, 56 to 60 is 4. So we should be okay there. So we're looking at, we're closing, if this was the end of day, right at those two moving averages. If I can get the bounce, I'm looking at that 59.71 as my resistance. So somewhere down below there would be my target. But I do like the pattern it's in. It's so big, so blue chip. It just doesn't get enough movement for me on a day-to-day basis. Every time they come out with news, it seems like we're better off with, was it BNFX or BFNX or?
What are you talking about? BNTX?
Is BNTX? Okay.
Yeah.
BNTX. I don't trade it. I just see it because of COVID. We just seem to get much bigger moves. $39 is its pivot, so it moves about $20 a day. Where Pfizer, we get a $1.50, $1.80 move a day. So I like the bigger moves. So I would be trading that one. But Pfizer, long-term, bigger picture, longer hold, I would be looking at this more of covered calls, diagonal spreads, and things like that.
And then just Visa as the last one before we go.
Visa. All right, so they got smacked today. Oh, actually, there's our bounce. So they got smacked yesterday. They came back a little bit, and there's the ping pong, right? Right in between the 208 half and the 214 quarter trade setup. Right now, where are we? Could we trade a bullish trade on this? Our moving averages are in the right order for bullish. So I would need to get above that 8 moving average to take that trade, with 220.82 as my resistance, and then 223.48 is the second resistance from there. Right? And we teach these ping pong trades regularly. There's a whole series of rules associated with them. Actually, I'm doing a training on the 13th. On the 13th, I'm doing is the first one. We're doing a couple of them where we'll be sharing things like this in that training. It's a free class, guys. If you're interested, you guys have our link, I think, Spencer, right? The Trade with Rob.
Trade with Rob.
Yep. Go to Trade with Rob. I don't even know if I still have it open. Oh, I do, actually. So if you go to, actually, it's not Trade with Rob. We've got it on tradinglikeaboss.com.
Tradinglikeaboss.com.
Trading like a boss. Yeah. Someone needs to kick tail in the market. It is a new year. And if you guys want to learn how to do it, this 30 days to trading success is it. We spent a year building this program out. We're giving it away for free. And it's this week and next week. We've got a couple of trainings for them. So
there we go.
Check it out. If you're interested, great. If not, on Trading Like a Boss, all these resources are free, guys. Take advantage of them. You'll get some amazing opportunities to learn how to trade from this.
All right, Robert Roy, always a pleasure, man. Have a good rest of the week. Thanks a lot.
Fantastic. You too, guys. Take care.
All right, peace. Let's bring on Christian Fromhertz, the man in the WeWork. That's what I call him as of just now, because he is always coming to us from his WeWork office. He was the man that wanted to buy WeWork. I heard he wanted to buy the top. Christian, is that true in WeWork?
Buy the top? And I don't know what that means. What do you mean?
I don't know what that means either, actually.
How do I buy the top in WeWork?
I don't know. How we doing, man?
I'm doing well. How you guys doing?
Good. If you can Christian, share us your charts. If I'd love to see what you're watching today. And let's start with this. Want to get your reaction to yesterday's rip-roaring. Let's call it yesterday's bipolar action. We were down everywhere in the morning. We were up everywhere in the afternoon. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly was it certainly was another test, and I think just one of those things where the markets just got to the point where I think it was enough is enough. You kind of think about things in terms of like a seesaw. I'm trying to remember this, or I was trying to think about this and remember this yesterday in terms of how bad of a year this has been a start. Just for the first week, the Qs were down 4.5%, and then at one point yesterday, probably down year to date about 6.5-7%. So it was like, come on already. There's got to be at some point buyers stepping into this market, as well as the shorts taking some profits too. So I think a little bit of combination of the two. I think also there was some, when I'm going through my charts, there's always some technicals that I'm saying, okay, well, this could be an area to bounce from. And, we saw a couple of those levels, both in the S&P and the NASDAQ. So I'm always kind of meshing my ideas and what I'm thinking and some of my instincts with the technicals and hoping that they line up together. And if they don't, then you got to reassess a little bit. But yeah, even today, I would say you would think after the kind of rebound that we got yesterday that you would be looking for some follow through. And it's been tricky. Like, Powell was speaking today, so things were going to be a little bit whippy around that. But, it kind of seemed a little bit of an overreaction even this morning, because the Powell speech was released yesterday. And, let's be honest here. The congressmen, are sometimes asking questions like, "Hey, what's your favorite color?" So, I think there is one question about, hey, is everything right on your resume? So it's you don't get the best information or the most ground breaking or moving information out of these congressional testimonies, more so out of the Fed meeting, which will be in what I think a couple weeks at this point.
I'm not sure. Let me check.
Yeah, I think so. We got that coming up, but yeah, I mean, I think that'll be another. We'll get more guidance, and that was the one thing.
Yep, January 25th and 26th.
January 25th and 26th. Okay, perfect. But I think even he said to one of the questions when they talk about the balance sheet, the possible balance sheet tapering, that they'll have more information on that. So it sounds like they're still kind of figuring the timeline out. So that remains to be seen. In the meantime, the market's gonna kind of whip around a little bit, and we can talk a little bit about that too, if you guys like.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yesterday we were watching the price action all day, like Spencer said. I actually kind of half in jest when the Qs were down about 2.5%, said like I wouldn't be surprised if we turned green on the day. And then wouldn't you know it, that's exactly what happened. And then today I find it interesting. You look at the Qs versus the Dow or just some big bank stocks. It's actually like, wow, the strength today is in growth and in tech. Mm-hmm. And after every thing we've been saying the past week or so, it's just it's always interesting to see in real time kind of how quickly that sentiment changes. Like a lot of times, sentiment can follow price in a way, right?
Right. Exactly. So, I think, tomorrow we have a big report coming out. We've got the CPI report, which now everybody is watching and expecting. And then we have the PPI report too, which is another gauge of inflation, the producer price index too. But, at this point, how much, I think people are really anticipating kind of an ugly inflation report. So perhaps, yeah.
I was just going to say, I would almost argue in that sense, there's a potential for more of like a bullish upside with the CPI than bearish, because I think everyone's already, like you said, expecting such a high inflation number that if it is, I mean, obviously if it's way off and way higher than expected, that could still definitely bog down the markets. But if it's actually, that wasn't too bad. We were expecting, 6.5%, and really it was 6 3/10%. Then that could be on the bullish side.
Right. It could potentially be. And it's one of those things too for the market that, you could see what's going on now. We're around the high. We are at the highs of the day. So you can't really wait for some of these things, if you're like, I'm going to buy once we get the CPI report is over, the market just will continue to do what it wants to do. And, I think even if you look at this morning, which, on my charts, I look very, very closely at volume at price, and we have what's called value areas, which take those volume at price and make them significant levels on our charts. But, we had a nice little double bottom. But as I was saying before, was looking for follow through today, and you didn't have to be super bullish, positioned into today to get that move, because this market is kind of whipping around so that you can kind of have some dry powder into tomorrow, so that if we do get some type of a bad reaction or overreaction, you could kind of stand ready and watch your support levels. And, as long as we're making, let's say, another higher low for the day, like we did here, then game on for possible upside continuation.
Yeah, and the other kind of trend I noticed today, a lot of stocks that have been, let's say, beaten up, having good days today.
Yeah, and going through the charts, like after that huge move that we got yesterday from the lows to where we finished, I was going through some charts last. I was obviously doing it during the day as well, but after the close and saying, hey, what names are really kind of setting up? And there were so many names that in the growth space that kind of look similar, that really, really beaten up. And it looked like they were due for that bounce today, which some of them are getting, Yeah,
let's go to, let's say Hood, for example.
Yeah, sure. I was going to go to Roadblocks, but we could go to...
Roadblocks, Hood, Fubo. We got to check in on Fubo, too.
Well, this is the couple that you mentioned are the on the end of the spectrum, the real far end of the spectrum in terms of beaten up. I think I think Roadblocks is a little bit more of a higher quality name than the two that you mentioned, but we'll certainly go over those charts. Hood, I mean, you could see is just in such a downtrend that for me, I'm a trend trader, and I really don't participate in too many names that are in downtrends like this. But I think you're kind of butting up, believe it or not, in some resistance at 1668. From there, if you can get above that, what I tend to look at is multiple time frames to see where the next resistance is. And then I would say, if you can get above 1668, then possibly 1740. Right, if the move continues. But you got to be very wary of these names that are in downtrends. I say this expression a lot, but a name in a downtrend could definitely bounce, but most of the time they resume their downtrend. Right, there was a little bit of a bounce in the beginning of last week. Right, we ran right into that kind of same resistance. So this looks like a little bit of a healthier bounce than normal. It's a nice move just for day trading purposes. Hood and what was the other name? Excuse me.
Fubo. Hood, Fubo, Roblox. Those were kind of the three that I had seen that have just been beaten down the past, say, 6 weeks or so, all having good days today.
Yeah, so if you were playing for the bounce in Fubo, I would be ringing the cash register here. 1514, 1548. Again, you could kind of see that there's more resistance levels stacked in front of you. So again, very difficult for when a name is been under this kind of pressure. There's no doubt, and you could see every time that this thing has had a green bar to it, it's kind of been faded. Here was one where you started the day green and you finished red. So I would be very mindful that you got the bounce in some of these things, and I think super high growth like this, that you want to be ringing the register. I mean, so the one thing with the Fed is that and I know it seems like there's a lot of doubt about how many times they're going to raise interest rates, but it definitely does seem like a change in tone, since we heard those Fed minutes that were a little bit more hawkish than what we heard previously. So I think that even makes it harder for some of these names to just up and reverse, right? Unless there's a major reversal in Powell's stance, I think these names maybe begin to chop around a little bit, because that is kind of the result of names that will be in downtrends for a little while. Usually what they'll do is, instead of looking for like a complete reversal, maybe they base around here, right? That's usually what I tend to look for in names that are in downtrends.
Yeah, I mean, you said it best, right? Stocks in downtrends can bounce, but more than likely they continue, or more often than not, the stocks continue to move lower. Are there any signs on a bounce like this that, to you, is like an early sign of, okay, this is a sustained reversal, not just a one-day bounce and then back to the downtrend?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm looking at. I'm actually looking really hard at the Chinese Internet Group, and
K-Web.
Yeah, so the Chinese Internet Group, it's been seeing inflows on the ETF side. It's also been seeing a decent amount of call activity, which, to be absolutely transparent, it's been seeing call activity for the last couple months. But there's been a pickup of that again, and it seems like these things for the first time in a while, there's a test of the 20-day moving average. So I'm also looking at this on the weekly chart too, and we've got a support level right around this 35.60. So by chance, and we did this last time that we did this was back in the middle of 2021. And then we kind of lost it and broke down. So this is something that I'm interested in here. It's just, for me, being that I am a trend trader, it's difficult. But I tend to go from level to level. Just look for some resistance. 18. There was one area right around 38.40, then 39. Where we could run into a little bit of resistance. But I think as long as you've got a stop price, and at this point, maybe using the 5-period moving average, which I use a lot on my charts, as well as 37.40 would be a place that I would say, hey, if the bounce ceases, that would be an area to kind of take the trade off.
Got it. All right, I'm just checking up on the chat, seeing if we've got any other tickers flying out in the chat. Let us know. We'll take a look. We're looking at what's hot today.
Yeah, and I could go through a couple other areas too where I think are really, we talked about some so far, the names and growth, which I think is completely, I don't want to say expected because there's nothing 100% expected, but I think it was, that there was a high probability at some point that we were going to see a bounce in some of these growth names. But I'll tell you what I do like is what's going on in these energy names. They are continuing to lead, right? And I'm happy to take any other, of course, tickers. But this Oxy looks wonderful today coming out of this little bull flag. RRC is one name that I'm also playing, right, which is kind of moving out of the consolidation. So this is what
about MRO?
Yeah, let's look at MRO. I actually haven't looked at that one, but
I'm
that
just
one's
curious. It's in such a strong trend, but I don't know. You'd know better than I would if you think it's getting a little overextended, or if you would expect this trend to continue.
I think you want to stick with the trend. I mean, it's not super overbought. If you want to use like the RSI study, it's about a 66. But to me, there's no reason to sell this stock right now. It's trending along with a 5-day moving average. You could certainly see that it's trading above what we call the January value area for the month. So that's a good thing. That's confirming that it's breaking out. And I would use the 5-period moving average as your stop, and use that as your trailing stop. Upside target, I would say, is maybe $20 in this name, which is, a decent.
It's about, would be about 20%? No, 10%? $2.
Yeah, but about 10% up.
10%.
Yeah, a little bit less than that, actually. Sorry, can't do math right now, but
yeah, $1.70 would be a little less than 10% of 18.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, let's go back to the names that you had originally mentioned in the energy space. The other thing about trading the energy or some of these more value names right now is if the inflation number does affect the market tomorrow, these names will be more likely less affected than the growth tech names, I would presume.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the key. I think, if there is a very high CPI report and PPI report, and that kind of confirms what's going on, then I think energy and even some banks at this point, which had a huge move last week. But even if you look at like a Morgan Stanley, which I was listening to your previous segment, JP Morgan and Goldman, which really haven't participated like the regional banks have done. And some of these regional banks, have just gone ballistic to the upside and are taking a little bit of a break so far this week, right? But if you look at something like a key bank, complete breakout. What was the one I was playing last week? Fifth Third, which is also having a huge move. We haven't really seen that out of the big investment banks, the big broker dealers yet. But I think one that could be on the fringe of a breakout is Morgan Stanley. Now, it gets a little bit complicated, just as you guys were talking about. We've got earnings for all these names coming up, but a very easy level to watch is this 105. And what I like about Morgan Stanley is it's been going sideways for a number of months. So, maybe the broker dealers could be the last of this move in the financials, and 105 which is basically trading where it is right now. I would like to see a weekly close above 105.15, and I think you got a breakout in the works for Morgan Stanley. Looks really good to me.
Yeah, and Christian, I don't know, if you like to play these names through options or anything like that, but what I was taught by someone who I consider an expert in options was explaining to me that in some of these, whether it's financials or energy companies, really value names in general that tend to be less volatile. Than your Robloxes, than your Robin Hoods. You can actually get a nice premium increase if you're playing the options on them and there is a big volatile move. So if it does go up or down 5%, that because it doesn't have as high of an implied volatility, you can squeeze some premium out of those trades that way.
Yeah, it's a great point. You're 100% correct. That's one of the things that I think it's overlooked with options in the value names, which again, people kind of think value, it's a little bit boring, but if you could kind of hit a trade that moves a bit, has more volatility than it normally does, and has a nice move like those regional bank names had last week, you're really going to find some nice premium pickup versus some of the names that we already talked about, the options are always expensive. So you really have to be with those names. I mean, always with options, you need to get two things right? You need to get the move, the direction of the move, and you need to get the timing right. But you have a little bit more forgiveness, I think, with some of the value names, because if you look at the implied volatility, that might be a little bit more similar to what the S&P is, versus, you know, some of these growth names could be 2-3 times more than that. And you really have to be right in those circumstances with the high growth names.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. Again, let's get back to, we'll take a look at some more of these names in the energy field. I think you had mentioned Oxy, and then we'll take some tickers out of the chat.
Yeah. Yeah, whenever you're ready, let me know what tickers. I could also talk a little bit about the material names, which also kind of are in that inflation wheelhouse. But I think FCX is it's a little bit of a slower mover, but it's certainly turning the right way here. And one other name too I wanted to mention, which was brought to my attention in my trading room, was PBR. I know Spencer loves PBRs, but talk about the stock. It actually, we're seeing some nice moves in some international names. You know, I mentioned the Chinese internet group, but also if you look across at some of the material names in emerging markets, and just straight international, they look pretty decent here. They've got some momentum to them. So I'm looking to see if PBR closes at 1124 for the day, and if it does, you know, zoom out a little bit in your chart and realize that some of the bases in these names, right, you know, if they really want to start to get going, they've got some nice levels to kind of target above, which I see like about $14 on my weekly chart, $13 on the daily chart. So that's another good looking one, I think, in energy.
Yeah, why don't we do this? Any other names you have on your watch list? Let's run through real quick. We can look at the charts, and then after that, we'll do a from the chat segment where I just we'll pull a ticker from the chat and we can rapid fire them off real quick.
Yeah, sure. So you want me to go through a couple more names, right?
Yeah, if you have them on your watch list. If not, we'll get to the ones from the chat now.
Yeah, so we'll turn back a little bit to growth, but I think what Lucid is doing, right? I know like Tesla continues to get the attention, and you know, there's option activity in Tesla every day, so you can make a case for bullish option flow in Tesla just about every day. But I find what's been happening, what's been going on in Lucid is pretty interesting. Now, it's nice too because I don't think Lucid is really in a lot of the major indices yet. So you know, if there's a sell program that hits some of the indices, sometimes it doesn't hit some of these newer names. But one thing that I noticed with Lucid last week was it was acting really well for a growth name. Right? It was doing something different, which I always try to find those names that are doing a little bit something different and showing relative strength. So this is the first day that the day's not over. You got a couple more hours to go, but if it holds here, you got a close back above the 50-day moving average. And now, you know, what I tend to do in a lot of my trading is just, you know, I have those ideas, and then I know exactly where the idea is not going to work, right? Because some of my ideas work, some of my ideas don't work, based on what the technicals are doing, right? So I think going long versus 42.76 is a nice shot here, and a name that's been acting very, very well. And then you could maybe target 50, 51. Let's see if there's anything else up here. But yeah, I mean, you know, I think that's a nice looking chart. Nice to see this name get above its 50-day moving average and just act really well.
Yeah, I mean, this is a name that we get a lot of interest from, just Lucid in general. A lot of retail investors in it. I think, you know, like a lot of other companies kind of in the space, there's a lot of upside, but you got to worry about when it gets overextended, then they tend to come down hard.
Yeah, and I mean, I think this, you know, as long as you've got that, you know, alert set, you know, right around the 42 level, so that if it, you know, we have seen, of course, a lot of fake moves, so you know, you want to be cognizant of that. But I love how this thing just kind of based, right? You know, if you look at, so this is obviously 12.13, right? I mean, not to say that this is exactly the same thing, but you know, you could look at the Qs over this time and say, hey, was this showing relative strength or relative weakness? To me, you looking at this pattern that we've seen, made a new high here, but obviously, really went lower. I love the relative strength in Lucid, and I think even acting better than Tesla right now.
Wow. Yeah. All right. Adding that to my watch list. Lucid, ticker LCID.
One more, and just kind of an interesting one to me because I get so many questions on this one is PayPal. It looked like PayPal might be taking that next leg lower after this. I don't like these consolidation periods after a big move down. A week or two I get, that's fine. But, after this big volume and big selling by the institutions, at one point yesterday, it looked like this was ready to take that next leg lower. It came back. So maybe this is a false move from yesterday. Bottom line, I'm still waiting for this to turn the corner, and I would look for a close above 193 in PayPal. And again, if it happens to get above 193, then what I would do is, use that 193 as your support level, your stop level, and say, hey, I'm going to get out of this thing. If it's not going to bounce, right? I think, of course, depending on your time frame, unless you're a long-term investor, but I think if you're a swing trader, you want to be able to see this and get above 193, and then use that as your support, your stop level.
Yeah, and while we're here, because I see it in the chat too, let's check in on Square real quick. Oftentimes, Square or Block now and PayPal kind of trade similarly.
Yeah, Square has actually gotten more beaten up, and again, the term that I would use here is relative weakness. So I think it's nice that it's bouncing from the lows here, but I see some resistance at 158. And I think the main thing to kind of remember with some of these stocks is, these were great stocks in years past. I would make them prove it to you that they're going to come back, right? I always get the question, in terms of like, hey, was this a good buying opportunity here? I don't view it is until it acts better. I need to see it in the price action. I say this a lot to traders as well too, but the stock has to sell me on why I should be in it, right? And it needs to be acting better than just trending down, because we don't know how long this trend down is going to last. If it does rally a little bit more into 158 and gets rejected, that's not really a great trade to me, right? I like to be in trades for longer than, a couple days. And I don't need to try to catch the ultimate bottom in some of these stocks.
Yeah, I mean, catching bottoms is never going to be a sustainable trading tactic, right? You may get lucky. You may feel great when you finally catch that bottom and you get that 10% bounce or whatever it is, but it's going to be a lot more repeatable and sustainable to play the trends.
Right. And with some of these names that are so beaten up, I would say, like, hey, if you're going to give a shot to these, like any trade, know where your out is, know where your stop is, but also, think about like, how, what's your goal in this stock? Like, so for me, it would be probably playing a bounce to that 158 level. Whoops. But I think a lot of traders, they have a tendency to say like, oh, it's cheap here. So then they get in it and it bounces and they're kind of happy. And then half of them resume their downtrend and they're like, oh, geez, now I'm stuck with this trade, and now I got to wait to see for the next bounce. But I would really try to plan out, before you click that mouse, where you're thinking about, especially in the names like this. Is it just for a couple $1 move? And, making sure that you're going to exit if it resumes that downtrend.
100% agreed. All right, let's get to some tickers from the chat. Corey wants to look at CLF, Cleveland Cliffs, I believe.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting what's going on with this name. I was in a similar name. I was in Nucor about a week ago, and got the bounce out of it. But they're just not, for some reason, the U.S. steel names are just not acting that great. This has so far made a lower high here, which I don't like to see. It does have support here at the 200, which you could use that for either a trade entry or your stop, and see if it wants to bounce here. But I'll tell you what, I'm just not loving what's going on, and they're right in the wheelhouse too of what this market likes right now, which is cheap stocks. Right? You look at the PE of these stocks, and they're U.S. Steel I think is in the single digits, but it's not acting well, which tells me go somewhere else with your money. Look at what happened to Nucor last week. Nice move, false break. What I do like, just to give you a couple ideas, is I like how this MT is acting. Right. So, like I said, a couple international names. MT is one name. What's the other name that I saw? Another international name that I'm thinking of. Not Cliffs. It's another cheapie. Vale. I knew it would come to me. This one's doing something different too, right? So this is actually breaking out. Maybe it's just gotten to the level where it's gotten cheap enough, but I would try to stay, try a long versus $14. It's already made a little bit of a move. Maybe a target up at $15 in this one, because it seems like it's retracing. And again, take a look at the difference in a name that was in a downtrend, right? Kind of took out this last level. This is called a version point of control. And made it a little bit of an inverted head and shoulders, right? Went sideways for a little bit, and now is just continuing to progress. So that's more likely, I think. You're going to be hitting some resistance here at 1566, but I think some of these international steel names are acting a little bit better. TX is another one, which I think is a steel name. Back checking this top of value at 4560. Could be an area to kind of accumulate here, and I like that this little move got above prior resistance. So again, I'm all about going back to Cliff, taking out previous levels. I don't like when names get to a previous resistance level and they stall, because that's known as a lower high.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, just looking at Cleveland Cliffs and some of these other names, it's like there are so many names out there that are doing well and that are in kind of uptrends, you could say, that I wouldn't be getting in any that aren't in one of those clear trends.
Exactly.
Someone, Meg in the chat, wants to look at Take Two. Man, this is my first time looking at Take Two today, actually. I was so close yesterday to like buying some leaps on Take Two. But it's just like what we're talking about. Like, I wasn't going to try to catch the bottom. I want to see if we do get that reversal, if there's an uptrend established.
Yeah, I don't know why it had this gap down, but that's
yesterday was that they announced a acquisition deal with Zynga, the mobile gaming company.
Oh, that's right.
And the street did not like it for Take Two. Take Two was trading down about 13%, and that was kind of my thesis on the leaps. Was I was like, I don't think Take Two is fundamentally worth 13% less than it was last week.
Yeah, I mean, this is typically what happens when there's an acquisition. So the acquiring company, especially like if the street really doesn't like it, you will see the name kind of go into kind of no man's land, a little bit of dead money, and then you kind of have to wait for the deal to go through. So that's what's going on here. I would be very frustrated, if I was in the stock. So I feel your frustration. But I think it's going to take some time for this to, on whether or not the deal goes through and so on and so forth. But yeah, you're kind of in no man's land down here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not in this stock right now. I was just looking at leaps yesterday and didn't pull a trigger. Now it's up 3%. So
yeah, and these names haven't really been acting well, recently. Talking about lower highs, the last move here back on 1230, couldn't get over this level, and yeah, it's been some of these gaming names have been really tough.
Yeah, Activision Blizzard's had a tough couple months.
Yeah.
Obviously, Activision has some, negative company news. I actually, out of all the video game companies, if we're just talking EA, Activision, Take-Two, I do like Take-Two the most. I think from a fundamental standpoint, kind of they have like the best balance sheet financials, it looks like to me. But we can take a look at Roblox after this too, because Roblox is kind of in that space, but I would argue that Roblox is a little bit different from your Activision, EA, and Take-Two.
Yeah, so Roblox, yeah, great, because I wanted to cover this one too. I do like how the the earnings gap, right, was filled on this one. Price kind of came back in here. And then, like I said, just like anything, because I don't have a great level of support here. Maybe you can use this new 200-day moving average, right, which is just kind of coming into the picture. I think that this one, it may take some time to straighten out a bit. You're going to have some resistance here at 93.60 to get through. See if there's anything else. Also, probably some resistance up here at 95. But you could see, this was a really nice reversal off this. By the way, these version point of controls, they are an area. These red lines on my charts, they're a high level of volume that price has not revisited. So price likes to seek these things out and then often have a reversal off of them. So I think my guess on roadblocks is that you're probably going to need to have some patience after this type of a move, but maybe it can start to kind of act a little bit better now that this whole move has been given back.
Got it. I've seen Netflix thrown out there in the chat a couple times, and I was actually just looking at Netflix's chart. I forget who asked about it, but I was looking at a very long term. I think I was looking at like weeklies going back like 3 years, and just kind of drew a trend line. Yep. And you could see that at certain points the stock got extended beyond that trend line, or the price would get extended beyond that trend line and get a little bit higher, and then it would come back down to the trend line and then bounce again. And it looked like when I did that we were getting back in line with that trend line. Yeah,
I mean, this stock was it made a really interesting move on the back end of last year, where it was going sideways for really a long time, and it broke out of that sideways pattern and made a wonderful move from like 550 to 675, and then since then it's been kind of a horror show, and gave it back. And especially to start the year, this is the new value area for 2022, and to start this way above value and to break inside is not the best look here. It will, I think, earnings is coming up, which is going to be on 120. That's going to be the deciding factor for the stock. Maybe it can get going, but I would be wary of where this trend has been going. I don't like, even though it's kind of back to this chop right now, I don't like how it's looking on the weekly chart. But again, earnings could definitely change the picture, and I would look to see what transpires there.
Yeah, and just for some context, I think let me double check, confirm. Yep, you are right. January 20th after hours, Netflix will be reporting. Someone said something about Squid Game in the chat. Squid Game. So last time Netflix reported, Squid Game was like ongoing, the top show in the world. Right. But the numbers themselves, I don't think were reflected in that earnings or guidance because it was still ongoing. So we probably will get some more insight into all those Squid Game numbers. Then, of course, they also have Don't Look Up, the movie right now with Leonardo DiCaprio and some other big names on Netflix. So
I think Ozark's coming out again too, which would be.
I'm from Missouri, so I grew up like going to like the Ozarks, so I love that show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's fun to like see like. It's always funny. Anytime like Missouri is included in a movie or TV show, it's usually never like a great thing. But it is.
Maybe a little more dark, like Ozark.
Yeah. There's a couple other like there was that big movie a couple years ago, the something billboards in Ebbing, Missouri. I don't know if you ever saw that.
Yes, yeah.
That's fun. It's always fun. Where are you from, Christian?
New Jersey.
Okay.
New Jersey, and my office is in New York City. So.
Nice. Joining us from New Jersey. Well, I'm in Detroit now, so we're both in the Eastern time zone now.
Right. All right. And you got any other names we want to go over?
Let's see. NVIDIA. Let's check NVIDIA real quick. I think all the chip names are having a good day today.
Yeah. NVIDIA, I'm worried about this name a little bit. I would like to see this get back above 283. Right, and start to retake. I've got these moving averages that are on my charts. Just really easy for me to kind of see the trend. Right, so this one that I've got highlighted here is a big one. Right, that's the that's the 20-day moving average. This is the 50-day moving average. Regardless, the price is below the 50, the 20, the 5 period moving average. So again, it's nice to see this name kind of come back. I like the hammer bar, but this name's got work to do. So I would love to see this be a leader in the market again. But I got to see this get back above those moving averages. AMD is kind of a similar picture here. So, you could day trade these things to your heart's content, but I'm a little bit concerned about the overall trend because you're going to have to battle with this 50-day moving average. And for a while, this was a nice dip in here, right? Held beautifully the 50-day moving average, got a little bit away from it, back tested, and then you kind of had your failure. So, it could be the start of, recovering from this, but I would definitely like to see that. A name that I'm watching as well today has been a little bit tricky the last week was Taiwan Semi, right? Speaking of the semis and maybe a little bit of a cheaper name in the group.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up because I was going to ask about that. I was going to say, while we're here, let's check in on TSM because this one to me is one that might have like potential to catch up with other names in the industry, but who knows?
Yeah, and this is another one. It's got earnings, right? So it's actually has earnings this. Oh, is that? Did it report? I don't think it reported. Maybe it's tonight.
No.
Oh, no, it's the 13th. 13th. Okay, so it is coming up.
Oh, that's close.
Yeah, but look at this pattern on the weekly, right? This looks much more constructive. I mean, let's look at the two charts right now. So Nvidia, it is holding ground, and on the weekly chart, I do have a good level for you of support. I would be careful if Nvidia breaks 258. Right, I'm actually long this in my longer term account, so I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt for now. But
on Nvidia,
yeah, 258 would be definitely the level to watch. If it breaks there, I will be out of this name. Taiwan Semi, I think what I like about this is it's been going sideways and trying to resolve higher. Full disclosure, I got stopped out of a trade on this nasty candle last week. I got all excited about this thing and saying, hey, now the move is starting to happen. And it kind of evaporated with the tech weakness last week, but it's certainly giving it another go. And I like this versus 123. So you can tell in my trading, I'm all about the level, right? And if because again, this thing looks great to me now, but if it starts to break, the other way, then I got to abandon the idea and look for something else. And there's so many stocks out there, right, that you can, kind of pivot from one to the other. You don't have to, fall in love with the name or the idea. I always say that, my trading system is so much more important than an individual name, right? So, but this thing, it has some potential here if it could continue to kind of get out of this this sideways pattern, because I love the consolidation in an uptrend like this, even though it's been a long consolidation, which if you look at it, it did make a huge move. So sometimes after huge moves, stocks like to consolidate for a long time.
Yeah, I do like the look of this chart as well, and I will say I'm also long Nvidia in my long term in my Roth actually.
Yeah, but look, yeah, and one other thing to note with Taiwan Semiconductor is all the coiling that's going on in the moving averages, which usually means when you have that degree of coiling, which is 3 moving averages wrapped around one another, that you could have a nice move out of that coil, which I think is potentially starting here.
Got it. Yeah. All right. Well, it is 2:00 time to wrap, but Christian Fromhertz from Tribeca Trade, thank you again for joining us today. Look forward to having you on again soon.
Always a pleasure. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your day.
You do the same. All right, y'all. We've got the roadmap coming up. Benzinga's very own show focused on NFTs. So if you're interested in NFTs, stick around. This stream will automatically redirect you over to the roadmap. They're talking the top 10 NFT projects right now in terms of sales. So I assume CryptoPunks will be on there, maybe Bored Ape. We'll see. I'm going to be tuning in. Again, this stream will automatically redirect you there. And we'll be back tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Eastern,